Bon. I hope. I went.
Off to such a great start. It wouldn't.
Sacral coverage. Oh, that's great.
To be fair, that's a dope intro. So I think we're just gonna take that, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
great.
nice intro. Sorry, tackle cover.
Oh, that's
For sure, something had to go wrong, right? Something had to go wrong.
right.
I'm sure that'll be the only thing. I mean, obviously, right?
Obviously,
Like,
for sure, like my microphone's not gonna fucked up halfway through or like the video, but yeah, bon.
It'll be fun. How's everyone?
Pretty good, and you?
Yeah, good. Now we're getting ready for the practice weekend. We're all going to Greg's up north. Oh, you will not know this, but Brian, he's got like he owns a farmland, so we're going there and we're playing in a barn. We're gonna be playing 140K in the barn. It's great, dude.
The worst part is that when you said that, my first thought was, don't they have Greg's all over the place? Why would you go up north for a Greg's? You know.
Yes, everyone. For the one that didn't hear the show Tuesday, yeah, we are the new crew for Enter the Matrix. So from now, it's gonna be called d'ailleurs Entrer dans la Matrice because it's gonna become 100% French show.
Yeah, our goal is to lose as many viewers as quickly as possible, so we figured that was a good way to start it.
Exactly. My cat is climbing behind my chair. From Brian's to go French description. But to be fair, Liam doesn't speak French, so you know.
Yeah, I speak Liamish. Like my English, my French is actually the same language. So okay, well. Let's get started. Well, it's going to be a bit rough, I suppose, because it's our first show, but we'll do our best, I guess.
Do you want to maybe talk about, like you mentioned, what you're doing kind of this upcoming week? You want to talk about maybe, Liam, a little bit of your prep that you guys are doing? I can talk about ours.
Yeah, sure. So, but we had like a training weekend just before the list submission to like finalize the roster. So, like last weekend. So this week we basically, I think I played 12 game on Hammer and Anvil Tank and Hold, not playing my list, but playing some list from a country that have the same color on my flag. So
his flag, you know? See that his flag.
So yeah, training a lot like the German list, obviously, and I'm like also painting my model because I have a tournament in Luxembourg this weekend. So tomorrow I'm gonna go to like one of my teammates' house and we're gonna train the whole day before like aiming to the BNB for the tournament, and it's gonna be chill.
Nice.
But yeah, a lot of 40K in the last 5 days.
Yeah,
more to come.
No, that should be great. And then Nas, you're up. We're going up to the farmland. Find yourself a salsa troll.
Dude, I'm going up to Gregor's for the weekend. It's gonna be great. I think there's like 14 of us there. Over for the practice weekend, so that'll be great. And I'm off work now until mid-August because we're in Europe and we have freedom, true freedom. It's great. So it's just gonna be a lot of 40K up until that point because there's nothing else to do.
Nice. I am in Orlando, home of the Swamp People. As I do a Team USA practice weekend. I'm currently live streaming some Nick Nadavati's bedroom. It's great energy in here, I can speak for that. So powerful energy, one might say. Yeah, we're just doing a lot of prep, prepping for tier 1 teams, prepping a bit for pod, making sure that we're like up to speed, that what we think we're ready for, and then just kind of solidifying some matchups that we tested enough to submit for, but maybe not enough to have the matchup down. So busy week here as well.
Nice. I mean, it's exciting time, right?
For sure.
Right now.
Stressful and fun.
How much do you want to like? How much would you pay to be already in WTC, right? Like,
oh my god, it was
yeah.
so worth
Yeah.
it. Just skip us right to that point.
Yeah, because like,
Yeah,
I'm
but
starting to be a bit like, I mean, how do we bored of training game? I want to be at the actual event.
Yeah, right. Well, this is the part where you spend 12 hours to improve your odds in a game by 1%, and then you realize that it didn't matter because you lost it by 70. So,
yeah. Oh, dude, I'd pay so much to skip to WTC right now.
Yes.
Without, yeah, just get it out of the way.
I'm gonna go to Leoben by car. I think it's gonna be the 10 hour, the more longest 10 hour in my life, right? But yeah.
God.
yeah, that's crazy talk. I would never drive. First off, I hate driving through mountains because I get very anxious about it for some reason. And then also 10-hour drive is a no thank you. I've become too European. I think I texted a couple people about this. When I got to Orlando, I was in my riding to the hotel, and I saw a pickup truck with 4 back wheels, and I thought to myself, what a ridiculous vehicle. And then I was like, oh God, they've converted me. I'm no longer American anymore, because I should be like, yeehaw, let's go. But instead, I was offended by it. So
Exactly, dude.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
And then in a few more years' time, you'll be on a true European team, you know, and then you'll be fine.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing for Germany next year, right?
I do have my German passport. I should have, in hindsight, I should have taken them, but I didn't want to do what I'm going to be doing during the actual World Cup, and you know, supporting Germany in after the first couple games of group stage, like the traditional American shift to whatever their interest is. But this time I have a passport, so it's okay.
Okay. Bon, shall we maybe jump in the core of the show? So basically today we're gonna do a tier list about all the tier 1 country plus England, and we're gonna
whoa. It's like we're like 3 minutes to this, right? What do you mean?
That was free. But yeah, we're gonna review all their roster, try to explain what we like, what we don't like, and then we're gonna put them into a tier list. So let's see first I can show like the tier list with the different tier. Does that work? Let's go. It works.
Yeah, it does. Nice.
So yeah, basically the different Pumba suggests to have like, you know, food link tier. So we had like, so the top tier is going to be the master chef. Then we'll have cook and overcook. And the last one is for USA, obviously, apparently. So why? But we'll see.
It's for the podium, obviously. That's the reason why.
We'll see.
Right. It's opposite day today. I see. That's what we're going with.
Okay. So I guess, shall we start?
Yeah, let's give it a go.
Yeah. Let's go with last year's champions.
No, okay, let's keep last year's champions for last, right?
For last.
Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah.
But that's why we're gonna put them last. So anticlimactic.
So we'll start with the Netherlands, then, right?
Yeah, they're seed 1. I forgot.
Yeah, technically they are still seed 1. So I mean, show some respect. I'm not gonna lie, I actually like their comp. So like, hey, a bit of. So they are playing.
Warriors. Oh.
Yeah, so they are playing. They have like the Chaos Knight Infernal lens.
Can we pause for 1 second and just ask people who they think wrote the slides, given the spelling of Drukari?
Don't make it obvious.
You should have me to check for the mistake. Like I did the slide.
That's true.
I also forget the S at Warrior, but
it's fine. It's singular. They only have 6 warriors.
Yeah, like there is only gonna have 1 at the end of the game.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? And then 1 activation.
So they are playing. So Netherlands is playing. So CK Infernal with let me bring actually the list so that I don't say everything wrong. So CK Infernal Lance with 6 big knights. They then have like the snake detachment with like the tunnels in Tyrannid. Then have a Beast Layer Space Wolf. They have Imperial Knight, Necro Awakening with the singular warrior, or the 60 warrior, Thousand Sun with Coven, Death Guard with Champion of Contagion. This one is actually a bit spicy because I think it's the only one in tier 1. And then a Wager with Drukhari. So I don't know. Maybe Brian, what do you think of that team comp overall?
I think, I mean, it's interesting, right? Because I feel like on some of this, I feel like they've done quite well, but on other ones, you know, they picked the right army, but then they decided to do Beast Slayer. And then I feel like they have the champion is interesting. So I think this is okay. I mean, they have what appears to be. I mean, I guess like I'm a little worried about the knight answers here. Like Drukhari, I think is probably going to end up being a knight answer. I would assume with all the what is presumably haywire on there.
I think it's a wrong knight answer. Like I don't really see Drukhari as that good against knights.
Yeah.
No, it's
right.
No, it's just fine. I think for like to just chime in, I think it was what like the main knight answer that I can see here is like the champions Death Guard one, mainly because of the strat access that they have. You know, given I mean I don't know how many Death Shard of Lords of Contagions they have, but if they just bank 3 CP, they can give them reroll hits and wounds and crit 5s.
Is the champions the index one?
No, it's it's the character one where they can basically they can switch the contagion to any of one they like every battle round, and they have like some crazy stratagem to have like crit 5, full reroll hit and wound even in melee.
So the strats are really good.
Like to answer Nassim, he's actually playing triple Lord of Contagion in Dash Road.
Yeah.
Then it's like the classic like Mephitic, 3 heavy drone, a bit of melee drone, and
so,
I mean,
if we're saying that this Death Guard army is a knight counter, which I'm happy to say it is, I don't really familiar enough with that version of it in the Knights, but let's say it is, but you're saying Drukhari isn't, then what is the second knight answer here?
I mean,
there are armies that can play knights, but there's not not first defense.
No. I mean, like for example, how does like knight actually kill like Necro Warrior?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like you'd be very surprised. So I think the answer for like the actual answer to beat them is the Death Guard, and then after that, I think they've got the Necron Warriors to give like to blunt it because it can have high enough. Also, the reanimations are quite powerful between Zeraz and the Warriors and cover pretty much almost all the time. Like they can't actually shoot it anywhere near dead enough, and in combat, it's also just a 4-up save a lot of the time. So the Warriors are, I at least for me, I find them a good way to blunt the knights. They're not going to kill those knights, but the issue is that the knight output, they can't one activation anything at all. Even Canis in combat, like it can't one tap it. And even if we assume they they eventually kill a 20 warriors, there's still 40 there. But it's not there to beat the knights, from what I can see. But it's definitely there to OC strangle and be like you're not.
It just feels like they might be able to do that into IK on a light board, but it feels like CK is not. That's not going to work against CK.
No, I agree with that. Against like Infernal Lance with all the double Gatling and shit, it's probably not working. Yeah. But at least they have an insert to EK, one of the knight, right?
Yes.
And like Beast Slayer have to be not bad against knight either. Like it's probably not the best, but it still have like the whole army lethal, like the predator. So he had some play into it.
It's like really hard to have lethal your entire army when you can't advance in charge. That's
I mean the big unit of 20. I suppose they are playing the 20-man Bloodclaw, or at least a bit of Bloodclaw with Ragnar. That one can advance and charge, and the Terminator will deep strike turn 1 in a good spot to be able to activate even without advance and charge, right? Now let me check the list again.
Yeah, I mean, generally the comp feels like it might be able to answer a first defended. Like I can probably answer. Sorry, I should probably answer the whatever army didn't first defend for knights, but the second one's going to be quite challenging for them to kind of deal with, and then I don't love the NIDs. I think that a lot of teams were testing NIDs and initially had them and then probably ended up moving away.
I mean, to be fair, I know Ron, their NIT player, is like a OTP NIT player, and I know he played them like pretty correctly. I think like he will at least like take more points that you expect him to do.
Yeah,
you know, in a
NIDs
match,
I don't think are bad. I just don't think that they're.
and I don't
they're
think they're
as
good
good.
either. I
Yeah,
think
they're
bad.
fine. They're fine.
They're probably actually even bad, but like if you have a great player on them that only play that, I don't see why a reason why not to take them if you're like constrained by the player choice, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
Fun fact as well, the Space Wolves, it doesn't have the Terminator brick, but it does have a pack of 10 Wolfen.
Yeah,
are pretty good in the Knights if you can make the connection. So it's
yeah, but the connection is pretty hard.
Yes,
especially on. Yeah.
But if it's Chaos Knights, it's a little easier, I think, because they want to be pushing you more so than Imperial Knights. Imperial Knights are more happy to sit back.
I mean, depend which version, right?
Like yeah, sorry. I'm in my head. I'm imagining a six Knights, like 3 of them are just spoilers, right? That kind of like the one that most of the tier 1 teams tended to gravitate towards. It seems like, but no, it definitely does depend. So they want to be in combat and want to push more than IK does.
Yeah, I mean, so overall, how do we think about that? Team comp.
I think it's a fine comp. I think the Drukhari / the Nids are a little bit the one that are most off meta. Well, the Drukhari definitely. I mean, like I think the Nids is probably fine. I think it's definitely it's an alright comp.
I mean, they are taking at least both Knights, so I don't think it goes in overcook it. Yeah, I would say it's probably not optimal, but it's almost close to it.
Yeah,
right?
I think I think it's fine.
I
would put it there.
I think it is at best at the bottom of Cook to me. I think they've missed the mark a couple times, and the way where they're trying to hit the mark, like where they're trying to move around the edges. If it works out, it's great. If it doesn't work out, it's going to be really bad.
Yes, but
and so that's what that to me kind of pushes it into overcooked.
Okay. For you think it overcooked? I mean,
I think it's right on the edge between the two, so I could see an argument for either.
I propose we vote. I mean, to be fair, here we have like kind of different side, right? Because we are obviously on the side that 2 Knights for like they already start with 2 good army bringing 2 Knights, right? So at least they are not going too far away.
Exactly.
I don't know.
And Brian, this is definitely attack on USA.
I mean, look, it's fine. Armies want to take Knights. We want to beat Knights. That's perfectly reasonable.
That's fair. That's fair. And like, I mean, I quite like the roster. So, I mean,
I do think it's a good roster with like 1.5 armies questionable. But I think apart from that, I think the comp does make sense roughly. I mean, if we're not looking too deep into what the lists are.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. We're leaving it cooked, and then when we have like 6 other armies there, we'll kick it down to overcooked.
We'll see. Yeah. So, let's go to the next one. So after that, I mean, I took a random order. Like I think it was like from the top of my head the ranking from last year, but I'm not even sure. So if I made like a mistake. Sister.
They have warp meld. They have warp meld.
I mean, that to me is crazy. Like I don't like warped at all.
My God.
Like even before the nerf, like I feel like Coven is just better in every way. But like that's maybe not. I mean, there is some nice tech in warp melt. Like I guess the Tsangor, the jail possibility that the detachment open to you is quite nice. But yeah, that to me is meh.
Yeah, I don't really understand. Do they even have a 20-man?
I think they do. I will double check so that we don't.
Just a bunch of 10-mans.
It'll be so funny if they don't even have a 20-man.
They have one 20-man and 3 10-men.
They only have 50.
Yeah, 50. I think 50 is the correct number. I don't like you pay a tax when you play 20, right? So I don't think you want to play like more than like 120. Maybe 220, but like 120 is I think enough. I
think the second 20 is a bunch quite a bit worse. So I generally think I agree with that. I mean, warp meld just it feels like it's I don't know. It feels like if you are at the point where you're taking T-Suns to do what warp meld is trying to do, you could just do another army which is doing it right. Like I would think Tyranids, for example, would be doing it better.
Exactly.
What they're trying to do. Yeah. So It just doesn't feel super great to me. I mean, we talk about warriors. I think if that ends up being an answer, that could be kind of interesting, which is cool. They have the right detachment for that, which is nice.
To be fair, they are also running warrior, so maybe like that's so like maybe that's the trend, right? I mean, seem like they would like. I know in Belgium we also considered running the warrior. We end up discarding it after testing, but like, yeah, warrior is quite a nice. Like they are taking to like more ordi. I see they are also running the bile CSM with like a lot possessed. Like it's like a bunch of like 30 possessed and 10 chosen is like 120 wound.
That's crazy to me, dude. They have IK and CK. They have the 3 damage armies, and they're like, you know what is a great choice to take with this? Is the three wound army. I just makes no sense to me whatsoever. It's not even like they were like knights are fake and they made the wrong call. They took knights.
Yeah. So, it's fun, dude. So, they're gonna pick +1 toughness and they're gonna be winded on freeze instead. Oh no, never mind. Strength 14.
Yeah, I don't know. Bile seems crazy to me to take in this kind of a meta, at least like a traditional bile list, like the possessed heavy one. Foreshadowing for our French friends, but like I don't know.
I know too much to talk, but yeah, I guess that's maybe an opinion. And what do you think about like? I think the higher seeds will always go for Space Wolf, like in the seed one, the higher team. But it seems like we have quite a few Blood Angel. What do you think Blood Angel over Space Wolf is, in your opinion?
I think that Blood Angels just struggle just a little bit too much in this current meta because in theory they should be fine at connecting into knights because limited screens. They've got Lance, Lethal, all of the jazz to potentially bring down a big knight, but that's just not the case a lot of the time because there's.
To be fair, I just realized their Blood Angel lists have 18 Blade Guard. So maybe they're trying to create a trend here, having like, 2 army that is a bit skew in a way, They have like 2 Horde army, 2 army that is spamming 3 wound model, 3 Knight army, obviously. And then they have like the Death Guard and the Sister that is not similar, but like it's, infantry that are durable plus some tank. I know they maybe decide, we are not going to skew the whole roster. We only like skew a quarter of the roster in a different way all the time. I don't know. I mean,
BA is interesting. So I at the time of list sub, I would not have taken BA because and again, this is something that is going to be a larger thread throughout all these comps, which is I think quite interesting. Is obviously some teams are high on T-Suns and some are. So BA is not good into T-Suns. And so I think that if you would have thought that that T-Suns were going to be good, then taking BA to me seems kind of a bit of a throw. But there's not many T-Suns, so maybe they read it really well there. I do kind of generally agree. I know you probably don't agree with the T-Suns thing, but I don't know. I think
to be fair, they are running the Blade Guard, which I think kind of sucks overall. So maybe I'm wrong, but like the Blade Guard are too slow in the meta, like against T-Sun especially. Like they are just like too slow, too predictable, even against Knight. Like the problem is when you're gonna calculate the distance between like the terrain and the closest objective, and you're gonna say, okay, I'm 18 away from the Knight, so I need to roll 12 on advance and charge Blade Guard. Like between advance and the charge is actually quite far, and it's actually taking a lot of risk. So yeah, I kind of agree. Like Blade Guard, I think are just bad in that meta, but I mean, Australia always have been kind of cooking, generally speaking, right?
Yeah, that's true. And BA, I think they can fight knights, but they can't. Importantly, they can't fight first defended knights, right? And I think there are a decent number of armies that can at least like play into knights that aren't on a first, like on a light board. And I don't know that BA beat them so badly,
I think,
or reliably in that matter, that you're like, this is the army I want to take to beat.
I mean, I know from my side that if you play BA, there are no guns. I don't think that army can ever attack any gun line. Like any army that have a bit of shooting, you probably always need to put it on a relatively dense board, right? So it will probably be a strong defender 2 or something like that.
Yeah, it's quite tough to actually attack with BA into this current meta because if you look at the, I guess, more traditional defenders in the meta right now, right? Like a lot of people are going to be using their knights as defenders, and like Death Guard also seen as a bit of a defender as well, at least with the way that some people's comps are going. And BA into those just in my opinion, just can't. At least with this type of VA, definitely can't. Right? Like you said, they move 6, 1 unit can advance in charge, and they're all 3 wounds. And all of these armies just pack so much 3 damage shooting with Death Guard, the combat, and the knights. Is like I think Liam's probably right with that. Like they are very likely going to be some form of a defender, probably midway through the pairings process, I assume, or maybe they're going to like the champions or in the hull and be forgotten about, and can play most things on some of the relatively more denser boards that are left towards the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
And maybe like last thing that is specific, I think we're not going to see a lot of them. It's the sister. What do you think about the sister? Like I call them on the slide.
I think sisters are interesting. Champions is the
Grotmex one. The Grotmex one.
Yeah, okay, that's like the bodyguard ladies. What are the
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I think that is one of the better sister detachments. Like I actually think that's pretty good. Into this meta, I mean, it's like okay. I think there's better ways to blunt with sisters, which is what I feel like this army's trying to do. But I don't know enough about it to really say if there's a matchup that they're going to crush.
The list is a bit weird, by the way. It's like 30 Sacrascent and 20 Arco. So it's trying to get like tanky bodies. I don't know. And it's still running like 2 units of Paragons, I guess. Try to have an answer against vehicle, which kind of makes sense. 2
units of Paragons?
Yeah, one with Morval, I guess. One is alone. I think they have access to like sustain in that detachment. So maybe they are trying to like maybe take a bit and like having tanky body and some anti-tank. I don't know if that actually work, but like that's what they went for in any case. So I'm not sure about sister, but like I'm not like a sister specialist in any case. So like I think I don't like them, but yeah, okay. I'm probably a bit biased.
It's okay. We acknowledge and accept your bias and that you hate Australians. It's fine.
No, I have no problem with Australian. No worry, don't worry. So where do we put Australia?
I think they've overcooked here. To be fair, I'm even tempted to put them down in Y personally. Like between Warpmeld, Blood Angels. I mean, those 2 alone, I think merits that side of the board. Like they've done.
I could see Warpmeld potentially blunting Knights because of like one of the best ways to play against Knights is move blocking, and that army's going to be very, very good at move blocking.
Yeah, but that needs to go first then.
Yeah, it needs to go first, and also it can't.
I mean, 20 bodies with a 4 of invuln and -1 to wound against Knights is not bad. I mean, it's gonna be. It's not like an army which is you really, really want, but it's. I think it could like. I don't think it just gets crushed by Knights, right? So I don't. I agree that it's either overcooked or Y, and I'm probably leaning towards Y. But
when you're saying,
by the way, they're also running Virulent in Death Guard, which I actually don't like either. So like,
I don't mind Virulent. I think it's just. I don't like it as much, but I do think it's a pretty reasonable choice. There's some really cool things you can do with it.
Are there 0 PBCs?
Yeah, it's Virulent. It's
Trash.
The index detachment.
Trash. There you go. That's my opinion on that.
Yeah, I would probably.
Yeah, I think for me that's a more Y. I'll be honest with you. I think overcooked is being generous. It's just.
I mean, to be fair, Australia is always in the Y category, right? It's kind of one of the strengths. So we are probably disregard them, and then they're going to kick our ass at WTC and going to be winning again. So in any case,
it is definitely a strength they have, right? You know, they play these wild armies, and then I mean, sometimes they just get it wrong, and other times they smash it. And when they smash it, they tend to podium. So
you mean like in the way they took 30 World Eater Terminators last year?
I mean, that one might have not been their best choice, but you know what? It's all right because. It's all right.
Well, let's move on to the next one. So after Australia, we have Austria. So almost the same name for a country. But
basically the same. Oh, they've got Blood Angels as well. What are they doing?
I mean, at least I hope they are not running Blade Guard this time. I don't know for sure.
I'm going to fact check that.
No, they are not running Blade Guard. I like that list already a lot more. It's like a lot of dev company, so 15, 10 and 5 dev company jump pack, 3x3 Sanguinary Guard, 2 times Scout. They are running the Vindicator here even. So like,
Oh,
I actually don't like the Vindy, but like they're at least running
two
all
Vindicators.
jump pack. Yeah, 2 Vindy. So 2 Vindy plus a bunch of jump pack.
My concern here is there is one hammer unit with the 10-man. Apart from that, it's MSU 5-man trading, and I don't think that does very well in this meta because if you play with like any form of Thousand Sons or Knights, they put one thing there, and you have exactly one unit that can maybe down it. Apart from that, you need to rely on 2 to 3 5-mans to kill it. And
I
realistically,
don't think
that's
you
not
need 3, but I do think you need to double up, which isn't great.
No.
And it then puts you into a spot with Blood Angels where you're playing to not kill the things, but instead just like hurt
Jam
them
them
a
up.
bunch and then like jam them up so they can't hit you back. And that's a much harder plan to execute, I think, at this level. So I think that's where it's going to kind of struggle a bit.
Yeah. I think
But
maybe that's
on-
where the Vindicators are supposed to help.
Yeah, but so and they're also running Chaos Cult. I mean, we're gonna see that we're gonna see it later. So I propose Nassim, what do you think about that kind of list, Chaos list with a bunch of Dark Commune? Do you think it's probably an answer tonight? I suppose.
So
like, by reading.
I think so with Chaos Scouts, and we're not taking them, so I'll speak freely on that because anyone but USA. I think Chaos Scouts are very good. So we were testing them for a little bit. It's very powerful, and it is actually quite good vs the Imperial version of Knights. Mainly because if you actually bank the CP, you don't even need to bank the CP too much, but you can actually have like an accursed unit, just like Thanos Snapper Knight, assuming they get the reroll wounds off, which is just a leadership success, right?
That's why I think it's great against CK. Against CK, it can be a bit tricky, right? Like
because now it's -2. And it starts to get real sketch.
But it starts, and like the AOC is also something. Like in Infernal Lands, they have access to Armor of Contempt, so
which is
in
big.
melee.
Yeah, so all of a sudden, I don't think it's as good as the CK version, but the Imperial Knight version is really good because you have the one unit that scout move, very likely hit a charge into Knights turn 1, or the Knights are quite far back if you're playing in the later rounds on Search, maybe even Crucible on some of them, and then you're hitting a Knight, if not killing it, bringing it very low, eating up space, and like you're not blast, and you've got multiple 1 wound nerds and 3 wound nerds, so like you can take saves very awkwardly, and I think it takes the Knights just a little bit too many activations, at least with the Imperial version, to actually punch through that. So I think it's able to actually push more reliably against the Imperial Knights, and I think it is definitely an answer to that form of Knights at the very least.
Yeah, I agree. And then they are running a TS Coven, obviously both Kind of 9 and CK Infernal Lens. I think it's going to be a trend here. I think every CK in Seed 1 are Infernal Lens, which is something a bit weird, right? Because I remember a week ago, like Pyra. In the stat check episode, it was like at Pyra, obviously, but what happened in Pyra stay in Pyra, right? So, yeah. But I remember like I think it was a stat check episode 2 weeks ago where they talked about the fact that Lord of Dread was like at 78% win rate, and it's quite funny to say that actually none of the top Seed 1 team took Infernal Lens, Lord of Dread. They all took Infernal Lens, which I think is
it's always really interesting, right? Because I feel like this happens every year at WTC, right? Where like there's the lead up and there's these singles events that are being played up until that point, and it's like this is obviously the best thing. And then WTC comes out, and all the WTC players are like, actually, it's really this guy. So you should really be looking over here, And I think Infernal Lance is the greatest example of that for this one, where it is just so much better than Lords of Dread, and it just wasn't really being played too much in singles. I think there was somebody who played it at Leeds who did really well as well. So
I think I'm second.
It wasn't like completely missed by any stretch, but I definitely. Yeah, it's definitely the best one. I think.
Yeah, I think
it's very good.
it helped a lot also to answer, like, maybe we see that an answer tonight, generally speaking, is kind of going to more ordy unit. Like we saw the Chaos Cult, we saw the Necron Warrior, we also saw like the what's in the previous one, like the Sister or like stuff like that. And like Infernal Lens just shit on Horde, right? Like double Gatling with sustain ignore cover will just like shred every fucking Horde you can put in their way, right? So
Yeah, I mean,
like,
don't forget about the double battle cannon guy. He's
yeah, he's not bad either into Horde, indeed. Like they're both great into Horde, and like probably like Lord of Dread was like nicer, like have a bunch of like tricks and stuff like that. Like the enhancements are amazing, but in raw damage they feel a bit weak against those kind of army.
it's a lot more reliable, right? Because you have access to like the sustain and ignore cover, like you said.
Yeah, I also think like the single biggest thing that Infernal is doing is that on WTC boards specifically, knights are able to move around, but they're only like they're just able to do it, right? They're like just get past the wall, just move through here, right? And so you're oftentimes able to move block quite a bit of space with like a single unit. When you add 3 inches to one of those knights' movement phases to movement, suddenly that becomes a hell of a lot harder. And these knights are moving around the board so much better than they were before. And armies which could handle them in these like scrummy kind of games are now questioning whether that's still true, right? And that's a huge reason why I think Infernal is so much better.
Mm-hmm. And then after that, they are running Death Guard Hammer. So I think it's the first Death Guard Hammer we see in the seed one, and I think all the rest pretty much will be Hammer outside of France, maybe. But like, yeah, why is Death Guard Hammer so much better than the rest, Nassim?
Where do we start? Right, you have well, I guess the single biggest strength is that you're able to essentially apply your contagion anywhere, which is very big. Because that one, like it's yeah. I guess where to start. They have access to pretty reliable indirect because now your PBCs are shooting at stuff that's a -1 save, which is big. They've got some pretty useful strats with go through walls, so like you're not as blocked. But it doesn't need their strats. It's just really, really good at making the good units even better. Like I don't know how to say it. Being able to be like your -1 save and toughness from across the board, fuck you, and then and then you also have to screen your backfield all the time from Death Shroud because they can always drop 6 in your backfield. Unlike what I found the biggest difference between that and Index is Index you can just be outside of contagion range usually with stuff in your DZ, which is big. But you can't do that against this, which is massive. It just enables the army.
Virulus Victorum feels like Death Guard in general feel like they have really, really good data sheets, right? And what Hammer is doing is letting you like leverage those data sheets for longer over the course of the game, while Virulus Victorum is trying to be more explosive with making good data sheets even better. And it's like you don't really need to do that, right? Just keep pushing pressure on them. Their opponent's going to drown, and that's kind of what Hammer's doing. It's just pushing pressure again and again, like through the whole game. And it's the best version, I think, of doing that.
Yeah, I agree that like Virulent, generally speaking, is a lot like, I mean, if you know that if you don't push into them too hard, they actually will struggle to reach you. Suddenly you see that it become a lot harder for them to push differential, to like score big, right? Like Virulent is more of a defensive army, where I think Hammer have ability to push indeed like a lot more easier, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy. Like
no, carry on.
Yeah, the backfield is never safe with Hammer, and even the front lane is a bunch of tanky vehicles, so it's so difficult to play against. Where like against Virulent, you just have the Dash Road, and you have to anticipate they can just come from one because he will not put contagion in the backward, and so that's amazing.
Yeah, no, it helps a lot.
My cat is coming doing mistake. I come back. Continue.
That's fine. Yeah, I mean, it feels like the floor for Virulent is probably a little bit higher than Hammer, but there's just significantly more upside in Hammer because you can actually punish your opponent, right? Like, and funnily enough, because your stratagems in Hammer are less useful than the stratagems in Victorum, because you do want to use -1 damage occasionally. You do want to sometimes extend the contagion range. Like you want to have reroll hits and wounds. Like the strats are slightly better, so you find yourself not recycling in cards as often. Whilst in Hammer, like if you get a bad card draw and you've got 2 CP, you're like, I'll just redraw this. I don't need my CP. It's more of a nice to have.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that yeah, as you said, the CP management is easier. The game plan is more, I think, straightforward and continuous. It's just that steady pressure, which lets you kind of push. It's better at creating space early on, for your Death Shrouds because of the PBCs. Number one, being there, and number two, being better. And then that stresses your opponent's ability to screen 6 inches for longer, and you don't have to kind of do silly or uncomfortable things to get your contagions out with the other one. So yeah, it just generally feels like the better choice.
I agree with all you say. I didn't hear anything, but I agree. I managed to put my cat out of the room. He was...
Liam, we have a Eldar Warhost here. There are a couple of different Eldar armies, so being the Eldar man. What do you think?
I think Warhost is actually nice. Like, basically, you're gonna see there is 2 choices, Aspect and Warhost. And like, I'm gonna talk about Aspect later, but Warhost bring you probably a more toolboxy army. Like, you have more tools, more tricks, where so basically you have ability to fall back, shoot charge, stuff like that probably allow you to maybe make a mistake, be able to maybe fall back charge when you get tagged. Like, it gives you more option, which is quite nice. Like, they are both really similar, but also a bit different. Like, Aspectos is more damage, I feel, and like Warhost is like more tricksy. But in the end of the day, I think both of those lists are kind of have the same purpose of like kind of try to hunt Knight, right? With those big blob of Fire Dragon with Fuigen. It's probably one of the few true answer to Knight, I would say, in my opinion. I don't know what you think about that, but
does kill Knight real good.
It does kill Knight real good. So I don't remember exactly what kind of version it is. I will double check. So it's Warhost with Likis, Fuigen, and some Autarch, and then 2 Serpents. Okay, it's still running he has a 10-man Dark Reaper, something I don't really rate. Like, the 10-man Dark Reaper feel a bit out of like, it's not their time right now, I feel like. And then he's still running 20 dragons. So like, it's basically clearly anti-tank.
20 dragons.
Anti-9. 20 dragon is like
I mean, you can find Fade both, right? Which I guess is
he's running 10-5-5. So I suppose he probably have like some of the 5-men that are more trady. Like, and then the 10-man obviously want a Fire and Fade, and then I suppose he's running a 10-man Reaper with an Autarch to have like the other Fire and Fade unit being him and the Autarch. So overall speaking, I think it's a good list. I personally would. My problem with that kind of list is that it's clearly anti-Knight, and probably if it's not facing Light, it's not the best, which might be a problem.
Yeah, there's a lot less flexibility in like the rest of the list, right? Like, he's very much skewed to 10 Dark Reapers, 25 dragons. He's gone down that route to be anti-mech, anti-knights very heavily, and I think because of that, probably going to get rejected almost all event from playing knights, and then it's going to play something later on down the line, and there's not enough other tools to actually play the rest of the game that you want for long enough.
Exactly. But I mean, if he get Knight, I would not be surprised if it score like a 14 or 15 against it consistently, which is like good place to be. And having something in your roster that you can always attack Knight with, and that probably will be reject most of the time, is something that as a like pairing guys is a good tools to have, right?
Great. It's amazing.
One other army that's maybe worth mentioning, just because I think it's the first time we've actually properly seen it, is the Thousand Sons Coven. So obviously I think it's strong. I'm playing it. Nas, Liam, what do you guys think about Thousand Sons Grand Coven?
In my opinion, it's quite okay. But I would say it's probably not as good as it felt at the first lecture. And it's probably a great, like, I feel like it's a great single army. And in team, I probably don't rate it as much, maybe, and I understand why some team didn't took it, but I still think it's a great choice overall. Like, as Belgium, we took it, and like it's working fine. But maybe probably it's because I'm a T-Suns player and I'm like I was expecting a lot, and it's still great. But yeah, there is quite a lot of change overall. I feel like.
Yeah, so for me, I think because looking in, right, as the not a Thousand Suns player, but having played against them arguably too many times now, is the army itself is weaker compared to the index, for sure. However, the index was absolutely broken, so it just feels like it's gone from a 15 down to like a 9, and so it's still
Yeah.
very powerful, and it still gets the job done because it's still just fundamentally good with melee armies. Like if you give Thousand Suns its board choice, or to be fair, it doesn't even need board choice most of the time, and it plays vs melee army, you can just remove the melee army because Magnus is immortal. And he
Yeah,
just
but
so it's just a
the-
very good thing to have in pairings against some armies, and it's always going to comfortably at least be able to eke out some smaller wins against most of the field. And now I agree it's not going to explosively 20-0 everyone. I don't think that's where Thousand Suns are at, but I do think they are very powerful in that fact.
Yeah, I do feel like I guess part of me wonders how much of getting the most out of Thousand Suns is still pilot dependent, right? Like if you have a really good T Suns pilot and you had it in testing, then you thought T Suns were really good. Or if the inverse of that, you didn't have a great one, you thought they were bad, or if you had somebody who's solid, but maybe not like getting kind of like it's finding some bad matchups that maybe the other players weren't, right? I do really wonder like how much of because it's so sporadic in terms of people's takes on it, which is what's interesting to me, is in that, you know, it's an
I mean,
army which is very siloed, right, in terms of how people's opinions.
but I would say that generally speaking, across the team, the T-Sun player is often one of the best player, right? Like it's an army that have like an Entrer for only like most of the time it's gonna be one of the stronger player. I feel like every time when I see a T-Sun player, it's always like either that OTP that only play T-Sun, or you know that kind of strong player that play everything well but no play T-Sun. Like for example, I mean, you Brian is a great example. I mean, in Belgium we had like our Guillaume, which is one of our best player that is playing T-Sun. And I mean, I don't know how much of that is true everywhere, but like I always feel like T-Sun players are, at least at WTC level, are quite decent. And I suppose the team that chose to took T-Sun had like a good like pilot for it.
Yeah, I know Alex, for you guys, Nas is a
He's a
specialist.
wizard
very,
boy.
he's very
Yeah,
good.
he's our little wizard boy. Recently graduated from Hogwarts.
Good old Twinkle Toes, the strongest.
Twinkle is. Don't know if you can say that on YouTube, but you know it's alright.
Well, it's because he's a magic. He's shooting little twinkle toes out of his.
Yeah, classifiable.
Cool. So I guess where do we rate these guys? To me, looking at this feels pretty cooked. I mean, it feels like they've hit most of the good notes. They've got a decent number of answers. You know, the Blood Angels lag is really the only part where I'm like not feeling it.
Yeah, but I think apart from that,
yeah,
I think it's like close to the perfect theoretical roster, right? There is like no spice, but they run like each of the best army almost, right?
Yeah. I would say I'd say it's above Netherlands and cooked.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, I think to be fair, it is pretty close to, for me, Master Chef. Close.
Yeah,
it's like it's very close. I think if it had Space Wolves instead of Blood Angels, I'd probably play a Master Chef. But I think it's just right at the edge.
Yeah, I think I agree. Like, I would let it in Cook, but if we don't find any other army to go in Master Chef, I would move it to Master Chef.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's run to the next one.
Who's next on the menu?
So, who's next on the menu? Indeed,
Oh,
England. The C2 team. I'm trolling Nas. I mean, I really want them to win because I took them in my draft the other day. So, like, I'm like, but I like gambling, even when the odds are against me.
Oh,
like every England. So,
Well, can't really comment too much on this. What do you think, guys?
so Brian, I have a question for you.
Yes.
Why Votan Earthband, you think? Why not like fucking classical Votan?
Well, I like to think that it's because Greg's been trying to make it work for a while. And so he's just finally decided that, this is my chance. But I'm actually going to bring up the rules because I forget them.
It's like reroll one outside of blast weapon and extra
Yeah,
EP
and
against
then he's
something.
got what's his actual list here? So I assume there's a decent number of Terminators.
There is like 3
There's
Grimnir, 1 champion, 3 Cal, 30 warrior, 6 Sagittor, 15 Berserker, 5 Plasma Thermi, and 10 Jaeger. So there is only 5 Terminator.
I mean
Yeah.
I mean Votan are kind of in any of their iterations are going to be pretty good answers in the Knights. But I think if you're really looking for an answer into something like Chaos Knights, you probably want to lean in particular into the Hammer Dudes, whatever those guys are called, and this
No.
really helps them with the extra damage. I mean, they all go up to what, damage 4 or something like that.
Yeah, but
Which
for
is-
my
It's a big number.
it's a big number.
4 is a real big number. And that seems quite good. Couple that with like, I mean, just like in general, they've got a decent number of answers. Here, the Forbin Von save is kind of neat too. I'm gonna be honest. I don't. It does feel like Votan just kind of do what you want him to do anyway, and this is just giving you a couple extra tools.
I mean,
But until I get it on the battlefield, which I haven't done yet, it's gonna be really hard for me to kind of narrow it in exactly what it's doing.
but to be fair, when I read the list, I see like a bunch of MSU madness. So I think he tried to like play like a really MSU style of list, try to be able to always catch points no matter what he faces. Like, because when you look at the classical Votan, we will come to it later, but they often run those big men of 10 Berserker, those Fortress, those 6 bike unit, like those big hammer units. Here it's only MSU. Like I don't count how many units there is, but there is 30 warrior that is gonna split in 6 units, 6 Sagittor. He has 3 units of Berserker, where most teams run only 2 10 men. Here is 3 5 men. And then he has like a champion that probably goes into the 5 Terminator, 3 Grimnir. I don't even know in what they can go, and those 3 Cal, they probably go into Sagittor, but or alone. Like, what is gonna run, I don't know. And then the 1 Jaeger, obviously, to move lock. So it's super MSU. So I suppose it's
like that.
It's quite of like a scratch point army. But yeah, it's a bit of a blur to me. I don't really know what it does either. Like, so I'll be surprised. I'm ready to watch them doing well, and I hope he will do good.
Yeah, I mean, Greg's a great player. He's been playing Votan for a while. I think he knows what he's doing here. There's particular matchups that they're trying to hit. It's England, so most of those are going to be wrong. But if they get a couple of them right, then it'll be okay. But I think it'll perform well. I think the biggest question is, are people in the testing going to figure out what those matchups are? And it's not going to be a surprise, right? So I think it's really a question for me of, once this army gets on the battlefield in the testing cycles, do people kind of figure out what it's trying to do, and then that adjusts all the matrices appropriately? Or is it subtle enough that people are going to get stuff wrong? Because I think this strikes me as an army which, if people get wrong, could end up in some interesting paces and maybe get them some points that aren't expected, right? It's just a question whether people can figure it out. Ourselves included, right? And we got to figure out what is done.
Yeah, it's always a strength to have like a weird army in their hand to manage to pair them in what you want. And maybe like sometimes the opponent team will put green on him. All the team will put green against the Votan, where actually it's really probable that it shouldn't be the case. And you can like exploit those weaknesses to maybe bring more points into it. But I would say the other weirdness in that team comp is that I would say like it's probably one of their like worst player. I don't know why they would took like Astra fucking combine.
Yeah, it's a wild choice. I mean, I think we all know that it's a terrible army. And I mean, did he take Bulgrin, I think, too?
I mean, I think
when have they been good? Like,
so
just
I think
historically?
he's thinking he's in 2024. No,
Yeah,
he
yeah,
by mistake he must have submitted his list of last year.
yeah.
No,
It's fine. He's not great at anything really, but particular Warhammer. So I think he's doing his best. But I think guard is just really well positioned right now. I think
Yeah.
I really kind of pushed for us to take it. I know that there was a brief moment where like Nas and I were looking at trying to take the same army to the Goonhammer event that had come up, and so we talked a bunch about guards. So we played a practice game as well to get an understanding what it's like. It's just a really good army. Nas is a great pilot for it, mostly because he just makes up rules and people don't know how to check it because who knows guard rules. But I do think it's well positioned, and if played well, is very strong. I would love to have it on our team if we had the players and space for it. We just didn't.
I think, to be fair, outside of the spice and the trash talk, I think guard is nice. It's a good all-rounder, I feel like, and it has like probably some nice matchup in the meta. So I mean, we'll see on. Yeah,
I don't think there's too many matchups either, which it, if any, which it just loses badly. Right, there are matchups which it doesn't really want, and there's matchups which it does want. But generally speaking, it feels like it's got a really high floor, and that is like exactly what you want out of a WTC army.
Yeah. It still shoots pretty hard. It still have all the infantry body to kind of score point, deny it. So yeah.
So you're probably the only person who can speak on this particular topic, Liam. So,
would you have run the guard if you were not playing it, Nas, you think?
Would we have run guard if we weren't playing? Well, the issue is that nobody in England plays guard, and I got told this because I've got an iron grip on the faction that nobody tries to even practice it. So I think I would have liked us to have guard because, like some parts you lot covered, it does have a pretty good overall matrix into the current meta, and is able to just play most things. Like any army has got some matchups it would not prefer to play against, but even against those ones, with the access to the combined arms with the troops, the vehicles, and then the Rogodons behind it, it's always able to get some form of points even against its less than desirable matchups. So I would have tried to push to get the army. I know Jack started buying a few guard bits until I was like, I'm sorry, I'm taking this back. So there's definitely, I think I still would have tried to get the army, but then it would have been, I guess, similar situation to what you had of USA, where is there the pilot / the time necessary for it to get the mileage out of guard that you really want.
Yeah, without going into maybe exactly how, because I don't want you to talk about like how you're going to be playing the army, but do you feel like, because I generally feel like with guard that it's at its best right now when it's played in a particular way, some of which can be unintuitive. Do you feel like that's the case, Nas, or do you feel like and by that what I'm really asking is more?
No, I know the question. No,
yeah.
Yes, so for the most part, if you want to go for to get a real mileage out of it, it's to play it a very certain way, which you've seen me play, when we've played it a few times, and that's the way that you would do it to punish your opponent and actually get way bigger scores than anybody would expect. But you can always play it to have that relatively high floor. Just when you're playing it a certain way, and because I've played it for a few years, I'm trying to keep it under hush, but you're able to just get a lot more mileage out of your units.
So you think even if people are maybe playing it, differently, that it's still got that floor, like that floor isn't specific to your style?
Correct. I think the floor might go down a diff point, but it's still pretty high up there, regardless of almost who's playing it. It's hard to it's hard to fuck up, right? A lot of the times, the overall micro positioning and everything doesn't matter too much with guard, as long as it's a little bit more with their Vic's comment. I lost my train of thought.
We know the backlight story between
micro, yeah.
Fireside and.
I feel like with guard, I know when I played it, I messaged because I've only played a couple games with guard, but I messaged Anthony either during our game or after, and I was like, this army sure is like on a micro level, easy to play, but makes you feel like you're making big brain plays. It's like you kind of get the macro right, and the army it kind of plays itself right. The macro isn't necessarily always easy to get correct, but when you get it correct, the army really does kind of play itself.
It's definitely one of those armies that's more macro than micro. You got to make sure that you understand the matchup, and then it does like kind of play out from there. Because it's not like I'm rolling anything to get my orders off. I just point and I'm like +1 OC. It's my objective.
Yeah, that makes sense. I guess moving along, just be cognizant of we have most of the teams left. I do want to ask, because this is probably the good opportunity to talk about it, and Liam's probably the only one who can, given what both our teams are taking it. What do you think about GSC being in this comp?
I mean, to be fair, I quite like GSC. It's a difficult army to play, I think, and most people will play it wrong. Like I'm not sure I played against a good GSC, like a player that played it right in a long time, or probably ever. But like, I mean, I think it kind of joined what we saw in different roster, that playing the Horde version that can actually kill Knight is actually probably the answer, because a lot of the Knight don't have like a strong volume. I mean, outside of Infernal Lance. So if you were not looking at Infernal Lance, I would say that army would be great into Knight, generally speaking. Obviously, Infernal Lance being there, I'm not sure it's the case in that one. But I also didn't really like. We probably lack those kind of player in Belgium, so we didn't train GSC a lot. So I'm probably wrong there, but I think it's not great into Infernal. But overall, GSC is like such an army that you will always catch point if you're not like in a particular scenario. I feel that army have one weakness. If it goes second against the wrong opponent, it might get boxed and lose hard, because if like the opponent have just like the table so that he can stage and basically go forward, and basically he know that turn one there is not enough on the table, so that he can just like send everything turn one and try to table him turn two.
Yeah.
Outside of that kind of scenario, I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, what is I think Ines has said this on StatCheck before, it's got like a backup plan of, my army is 300 OC or something like that, right? That's a pretty good backup plan for things like not working out, right? So that's I think tends to help it have a decent floor in most things. But yeah, cool.
But overall, and then they are running obviously Hammer again and Warost, a different Warost list than the Austria one. I think he's running more Oak, which I obviously like. I mean, being an Elder player, I'm not gonna go through. But what would you prefer to face? I mean, Nassim or Brian, a version with like only Fire Dragon, or a version with Oak? What do you think would be the best overall?
Only Fire Dragons would be great to deal with. I mean, I'm very thankful that USA only has 10 Hawks. It's very kind of Nick to do that.
I think that the Hawks are. I think that if you become tall enough to ride into the vehicles, and I think Eldar can do that with less, like Fire Dragons, and I think it was like, what was it, Austria maybe was taking or something like that. Then I think Hawks can become better, right? Like the first couple Fire Dragons are better than Hawks, but then once you like 10, it probably shifts over the Hawks again. I think is where you're probably at. And so I really like the Hawks.
I quite like that Eldar list, I'm not gonna lie. So overall, how do we think about England, Brian? Mainly Brian, because I know Nassim gonna say it's the top tier meta.
I'm not saying anything. I'm just, you can put it where you want.
So so for me, the only part of this which is like I'm unsure of is the Hearth band, right? And the fact that I know Greg. If this was like Nas on Hearth band, I'd be like, this is terrible, because it's obviously he's overcooked it. But like Greg is a good player, and he's been playing the army for a while, and it's not even his first time playing Hearth band too. I know he's worked that for a while too.
He played that at Six Nation, if I'm correct.
Yeah, and I know he's played it a couple times too. So it's an army which he has a decent number of reps with experience wise. So to me, this is like this is cooked, and maybe. God, I don't want to say it.
I mean, I will. I think it's indeed MasterChef. I think it's probably slightly better than Austria, and Austria is already at the top of Cook. So
yeah,
like,
I think so too. As
I
much
think
as it pains me
it's
deeply.
probably unless I'm seeing something that is way better. For now, it's probably the best roster I've seen in between the 4 we just talked through. Bon, let's continue. So I'll put it. Sorry, I'm actually doing it, but I'm not yet used to Scream. I already put it, but like, yeah, I'm gonna do it again.
Boom.
Let's go.
Oh my god! Screenshot, quick.
I mean, you know it's gonna go down when we're gonna talk about other country, right? So no, I'm trolling you. But
It's
allez,
impossible. There's France and
bon.
USA, and they don't have nights.
So let's move. Germany. My little friend Germany. So, I mean, I've spent a lot of time looking at those lists, so I think I know them by heart. But I will let you talk about it because I think I know a lot after studying them.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
what
the
do you
only
think about
I
it?
think the only armies here that are worth they're kind of new at this stage are we got the Space Wolf Stormlance, we've got Shadow Legion,
Yeah,
and then I
um,
think I don't know how different the Drukhari list is, but it's maybe it's worth
it's
talking about
pretty
that a little bit.
similar.
Okay, yeah. So
I mean,
Votan is more of a traditional Votan, right? It's Tim Schneider's
yeah,
list.
it's the classic Votan list.
So it's really just the Demon Shadow Legion and then the Stormlance. It's worth maybe talking about Stormlance. Liam, if you want to kind of maybe talk about that a little bit, because again, we have it. I don't want to.
I mean, I've been playing a bit of Stormlands, so I'm not sure it's the best. Like, I'm probably a bit of the weird opinion, but I always read damage. Like, I mean, the problem with Stormlands maybe is the damage is a bit less higher than maybe other detachment, but they have like the crazy movement trips, right? They have like auto advance 9, so having Thunderwolf moving 29, and he's like playing Bjorn, so he can do it turn 1, so he can like from turn 1 like send the unit so far. It's actually a bit scary, and then like the react move as well, and obviously like fallback shoot charge fallback charge advance charge is such a great role. It's probably one of the strongest role in the game. So overall, even though I would say it like a bit of damage, I would say that it's a great list. Like I like Stormlands. Like at the end of the day, it's probably the best detachment to run Wolf in my opinion. But yeah,
And then this Shadow Legion list.
I mean, it's Niklas, right?
Yeah, he's been on a tear with it, right? Like he
Yeah.
won the German Super Major with it. He's I think won
I
all
think
of
he
the events.
won.
Yeah, like
He
he's
won
won
the
like
Alpine Camp as well.
yeah, he's
So-
like he's just on fire with it. We've seen him use the list. He's really good at using the list. I think it's like each country has their one special. I
mean,
guess
who could that possibly be for
Action.
America?
I mean, to
Was
be
it-
fair, when you look at
Actually,
the
we found a couple.
roster,
Yeah. So you look at the roster.
when you look at the roster, like there, I think Germany did a great choice in their team comp because they have the good amount of like the best army in the game. Plus, they took some spy and let their faction specialists pick, right? Because even the Drukhari, I think, have been doing so great over the last.
He's been
like,
doing great. Yeah, I've played Drukhari for a while.
It's Poe he's been doing. Like I remember he was like second best scorer at TTC. He did like even at the German Super Major, he did like I think he went like 6-0 and something like that. So like he has been like kicking with their Drukhari. Plus, obviously the Votan is. I think it has been mentioned in the other podcast. Like Schneider is obviously the OG Votan player, right? So like he pretty much made the list. And then obviously they're running CK and IK, and they have like probably like Fred. He's playing CK that, and I think he only played like IK and CK in the last 2 years or so, pretty much. So like they have a lot of faction specialists on their army. So I think it's like a good place to be in the meta and the WTC coming out.
Yeah, I think I agree. I don't think there's any army here that I'm like not sure about. If it wasn't for the fact that Shadow Legion players being played by such a good player, one Shadow Legion, maybe it would be a little more on them. But I'm very this to me is like Master Chef, and I don't think it's super close. This kind of feels like the best one I've seen so far.
Yeah, I think it's clearly better than England. Like, so I would put it over England even. So I'll. So sorry, Inas, it was short.
Listen, I'm happy to be up there. It's okay.
Okay.
Happy to be
then let's continue. The next one. Sweden. Ooh la la.
They've let me down. The time where double knights is good and they've taken it every year, and they only took one knight. Just
Dude,
So
Yolden take his demons. I mean, he kind of took demons, but like not really. I mean,
yeah, he took Demon Kind.
yeah, just sad. Depressing,
Yeah.
really.
What do you think about? I think the roster overall is we already saw all of those army.
Except
I
for
would
World
say,
Eaters is the one that we haven't
yeah,
seen.
I would say like Sister and World Eater are the two kind of spice in it. So what about the World Eater? So what do you think about Demon King? So
Well-
he's running, just for context, I think he's not running Scarborn even.
Yeah, no Scarbrand.
no Scarbrand. Okay, I've got a very strong opinion on Demon King because I think people just personally overhyping the ability to teleport bloodthirsters around the transport and kill the contents. That is just you can not let that happen, and that's like the current go-to trick.
Bloodletter, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, yeah. You like kill a transport, the bloodletters go around the transports, you can't disembark, the contents die. But
how are
you gotta.
how are you stopping it?
Sorry.
How are you stopping it?
Well, I'm killing them.
Killing the bloodletters?
I'm just killing all of it.
Okay. I'm just saying I think the wrap is very hard to stop. But
Yeah.
it's but from like especially in combat, but his army's not as well at dealing with it in combat. But also I feel like that's a very targeted thing against things that are not as common in the meta, right? Like maybe like a couple months ago, like guides and transports was much more common, right? And that kind of an effect was disproportionately powerful. Now I feel like that's less of what armies are doing, right? Like you have less EC, you don't have really as many orcs, you don't have like a lot of these, armies, melee guys and boats are not as common anymore, and so even achieving that is not going to have as much of an impact on the board state and the result of the game that it did before.
Yeah, but it's not easy to achieve in the first place, right? Because you have to get to the transport and kill the transport. That's usually
Well, he has
against this type of
he
army.
has 3 Forge Fiends, right? Which is pretty
Yeah, I
good.
know. Yeah,
And then if he connects with like, I think it's easier to achieve than you think. But I just think that it's not as effective as it used to be in the meta.
I think that's fair. It's
yeah.
At the end of the day, it goes back to just being like bloodletters for I think 110 points are
Yeah.
essentially a 5-up save dude at T4.
Yeah, well, I think I know in my early days of testing against Demon King, because I know Anthony looked at them for a while. It was really hard to play around that stratagem until I decided, you know what, they're just bloodletters, whatever, dude. And then it just didn't matter, and it wasn't as good anymore. Because it's just 10 dudes with a 4-bin bone save, and suddenly they die to, I think it was like I had tank busters like just beating them over the head with their rocket launches in combat. And just like, no, stop.
What do you think? They also have a weird Elder list. Like again, a really. I mean, it's again 3 Falcon, 1 Serpent, 20 Dragon.
That's a lot of vehicles.
So like a lot of vehicle, like 5 Reaper with Moganra. So not a lot of stuff and a lot of vehicle with a lot of fire. So a bit in the same way as the Austria. So I think overall
Is it Armored War Host or is it War Host?
No, it's for us. It's for us.
It's like
look, it's Sweden and it's a lot of vehicles. That's a question we needed to ask. Okay.
I was like, just have to double check there.
I mean, so
yeah, I think it's. I mean, look, Axel always has great armies. I mean, this is a lot of Falcons move better on WTC boards than Wave Serpents, and they're easier to hide. But I think once you hit 4, it gets a little sketchier. So some of these are coming in from reserve, and I do worry about this army getting pushed a bit because of that.
I mean, obviously, I think it's a great answer against Knight again, obviously, but it's too clearly good against it, so that Knight will just avoid them. And when there is only one army to avoid, it's a bit easier.
Yeah, well, I think they've got a decent number of answers here tonight. I actually think that they're going to be pretty good in tonight's in general. Because I mean, it's.
But then why overcook their Elder list to just beat Knight?
Well, I mean, the Eldar also are not an unreasonable like early defender too, right? Especially if you're not looking at trying to stick one on a light board, right? And a list like this where they can skew, it's okay. Especially if you have more you have enough answers, right? You kind of use them as a first you get
Yeah,
to pick
definitely,
your
yeah.
matchup into them for the for whatever first defends, and then you get a second defend them or something. Could be a strategy they're taking. I could see that being kind of
Yeah,
interesting.
I mean, the list is in any way bad. It's just
Yeah.
it's a bit skew, I would say.
Mhm.
But overall, their roster seem pretty okay. I would say it's slightly worse than England and Germany, generally speaking. What do you think about that statement? Like, I mean, Sister and the Demon King seem like obviously spy choice, but like they seem less optimal than some of the other roster we just saw.
Yeah, and like I mean, again, the Space Wolves for me, I think Beast Slayer is just harder to get a lot more mileage out of compared to Stormlance. Is
But
the other thing.
But to be fair, that list is running the 10-man Terminator and the 20-man Blood Claw. So I quite like that list, honestly, because like there is only 2 units. The rest is basically like a bit of trade and shooting, right? There is only 2 units you want to get in combat with, and one is advancing and charging, and the other one is deep striking turn 1. So like they'll get there. They'll manage to get there. And when they will get there, they will be lethal. They can be lance. It's not bad.
The only thing that I'm like not as high on in the list is the head takers, who are not bad by any stretch, but they're. I just wonder if you could have done something different there.
Yeah,
They kind
3
of feel
more.
like the last unit you put in, right? And I don't know that there's a better choice. Yeah,
I mean,
but
they could have been 3 more Thunderwolf, right? I don't
yeah,
know.
I do
Well,
I do really like Thunderwolf in general.
yeah, me too. The
I
list feel quite good, honestly.
Yeah, it's definitely a good list. I mean, obviously, I'm high on Space Wolves too. I think that they're a good choice. I mean, it's overall this comp feels good. I would say it's either top of Cooked or bottom of Master Chef. I would say.
Yeah, I think it's probably Cook as well. Like it's
Yeah.
less good than the 2 we just reviewed. So is it better or worse than Austria? Because like the
Ooh.
Elder list is pretty
Hmm.
similar at the end of the day.
Yeah,
And
I think it's better than Austria personally.
really,
I mean, the big thing for me is I'm just really like I have faith in Joel, but I do not have that much faith in this World Eaters list that he wrote up, right? So I with the way the armies ended up shaping up, right? I think if they could have worked out where armies were different and he'd be much more powerful. Plus, I'm just totally misreading this army, but like that's the biggest weakness to me on this roster.
okay.
So to
So
me,
you
it's
it's
yeah, it's really close between the two. So I'd say
okay.
one of you guys
I
should
would
strongly.
I would like personally for me, I would still go over with Austria being better, believe it or not. What
Okay.
mainly due to the Warriors, right? Like I think when it came out, a lot like everyone was testing it, everyone knows what it does, and into the current meta right now, it just like you said, does feel just just not strong enough to really contend up there with those top armies. At least for my
I will say though that Sweden, I feel like I think England has the best Chaos Knights list, and then I think Sweden has the second best list in the meta right now for Chaos Knights. And so
Interesting.
yeah,
So
I think the 6 bigs is worse than like 4 and a bunch of littles.
So they are running three Despoiler Gatling, 3 Carnivore, 1 Stalker, Rotigus, and then a bit of Demon for context. Yeah, this list is nice. This list is cool.
Yeah, it's close. I think it's a solid comp.
Bon, let's move on. So after that, Spain.
boom,
Ooh la
that
la.
snaz wagon. Yeah,
Arcade Infernallands, dude. Dude,
Yeah.
Cult of Speed is the best. I mean, this is obviously Master Chef because it works Cult of Speed. Let's move on.
I mean, to be fair, Cult of Speed, you can put such an amount of buggy in
Nope,
those
just stop, Liam. I've tried it. I tried it every 6 months. The answer is no. It just doesn't work.
Okay. I mean, I when the point drop at the last data set, I did try to build
I have a
some
list. I have a list that I put on playing TTS every 6 months, just called the sauce, and it's literally every single buggy you could take, and it never worked because every time I play in my first turn movement phase, I'm like, oh yeah, that's why. There's no points are gonna fix this. It just doesn't work in that space.
I mean, to be fair, he is not running that many buggy. He only has 3 booster blaster.
Yeah, the Death
booster
Captains
blasters. Yes,
Booster
he's-
Blaster.
booster. Oh, dude, I just love
Which
seeing
are
people
they actually
play.
do? Those are quite good. The war bikes are pretty mid, but the Death Copters are quite sweet.
Yes.
And they are good in that detachment.
Yeah,
But they're just not good overall. So
And
You know?
interestingly, something worth noting, they are also running 2 Tyrant with a Plasma and Volcanolence in their night list, their Chaos Knight list.
Absolute heroes.
I mean, I love that. I mean, I think those ones are like the worst. I shot with one of those night ones and kill one rubric into a rubric squad, and then I stopped. Right, like, please. Those night, I'm not sure are that good, but yeah.
It's all right. It's Spain.
Well, that's why you put RK, because it's like reduced night infernal.
Yeah.
Knights.
I mean, it's Renegade Night. It's fine. Stop. Huh? Next time you do the slide, then I make fun of you.
I just love how that every single IK is just like literally IK, just lowercase.
Yeah,
Just every
it-
single one.
It's the same fucking list, right? Let me look. Is there any spice? Because we didn't took. Oh no, he's only running 2 Atropos and he has 1 errant. Oh la la.
Oh wow.
The main difference in that list is crazy. But yeah.
Yeah, this feels.
Yeah, it feels.
I mean, it's either Y or Overcooked, right? I think it's Y. I think
I
Call to
think
Speed.
Y.
Any comp that isn't in Y that also has Call to Speed, that really makes us must question the entire composition of our tier list.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I mean, like also for example, they are running Death Guard and they only have 2 heavy blood drone, so there is like some of the roster are a bit indeed Y. But I mean, Spain also have a history to run a bit of weirdly, so we'll see what it does. I mean,
It
I
wasn't
think
for the fact that I know Call to Speed so well. I'd be more like, there's got to be something here. I just know there isn't.
I mean, you're an orc player. I trust you on that. I mean,
Full of
to be,
psyops,
and I,
let Spain win.
yeah. I mean, I think I think it's why. I mean, it's probably even worse than Australia, right?
Oh yeah,
Ah,
I think it is.
I
Yeah.
mean,
yeah.
the cult. I mean, Death Guard not running 3 blood drone or like the
Yeah, not
the
running.
Tyrant.
Not
The
running.
Tyrant are like
Yeah. I think that's fair. Into why it goes. Why?
ooh la la. We are starting to get into the juicy now. Ooh la la, ooh la la.
By the juice, do you mean the lack of knights?
Yeah. I mean, we still have 1 roster with some knights, if I'm correct.
Oh, there we
Ooh
go.
la la.
Yes, we've left the no knights till last. Lovely. It's great, Liam.
So,
Oh, he's got these in
what?
capitals, IK. Look at that. It's more serious, IK.
Those one are like, it's Skark to be fair. Like you show some respect to Skark, right?
Exactly.
No.
You give him capitals.
So I mean, I think they are running pretty general list, like the CK, the IK, the Votan, the Spacefall, the Death Guard, and the Aeldari. I mean, we didn't talk a lot about the difference between Aspectos and Warhost, but the main one is that Aspectos has like more raw damage with the reroll it, and is more susceptible to get tagged. So you need to not make mistake. But at the end of the day, the power level is pretty close, and the list is really close to Chu list. Like it's 30 Oaks and a bunch of 10-man Fire Dragon, and then a bunch of like a Dark Reaper plus a Banshee Squad plus Lekis, like all the classic stuff. So everything is pretty normal here, outside of 2 fucking lists. First, you have the CSM veterans. And you know I love veterans because like I've been playing them for a while, but I don't like this list, honestly. I mean, we'll see how it goes, but like the list goes like let me run to the list.
Vashtor. I think he's got Vashtor in there.
I mean, Vashtor is objectively good, but then he has
Mhm.
like a Discorder, a Master of Executioner, a Chaos Lord. He's running a Traitor Enforcer for 55 points. But to be fair, for 55 points, it's a good action monkey. It's a bit tanky. But then he runs like 2 Legendary Squad in a Rhino. It goes with the Chaos Lord and the MOE. And then it's a gun line, basically. It's 1 Pred Annihilator, 2 Pred Annihilator, 2 Pred Destructor, 1 unit of 2 Oblits, even with the WTC home rules, I would say.
Yeah, no packing for you, mate.
Yeah, no last shooting if you don't have it. But he's only running 2. Then 2 biker, and then like 1 Mauler Fiend, 1 Raptor, 3 Nurgling. Like this list doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Like it's a bit of like he picked 1 unit of every kind in the codex and put it in.
It's just it's just the first year going to WTC with CSM. It's okay. Everyone.
I think it I mean, CSM is always a pretty good gun line. It
Yes.
is a little. I mean, I don't know CSM well enough to know whether like
I mean,
veterans is the better gun line than packed. Like it feels like sustained fives is a better rule than
yeah, but
reroll
the
hits
problem
on
is
one target.
you need to succeed the dark pact, and in a meta with like, for example, CK, where you will have like maelstrom leadership, so you probably won't get your dark pact a lot, and like all those vehicles don't have icons, so they cannot reroll. Like
Yeah, that's fair.
veterans bring you reroll it, and you can even have double reroll it with the strat because you kill something and then you retarget it. So like reroll it plus sustain or lethal is a crazy amount of damage. And he's also playing the Discolord to choose a knight to have reroll once to wound. So he can technically like pick a knight, have reroll once to hit, to reroll it and reroll once to wound against it,
Yeah,
hopefully
to
kill
reliably
it,
take down a knight. Yeah.
and then he can switch and hopefully kill a second. I mean, I'm not sure he can actually kill the second one, but sure.
Can we pause just to appreciate just how wild it is that we're in a meta where we're not even stumbling at the fact that he has a Mauler Fiend in his army and Predator Annihilators. Like, where were these things for years and years? And now suddenly it's just the thing you do. You just take these things.
Yeah, what do you mean, dude?
I mean,
It's crazy.
I know you did as well a lot. So
Yes, yeah. I think
you are the
they're
Mauler
good.
Fiend time.
Like,
Mhm.
I mean,
and they have their special snowflake with the AdMech. See, every country has one or two.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
AdMech is another one that's kind of interesting here.
I mean,
it's
been
to me it's like what you said about the Eldar too, right? It's one of those things where it's like this thing is good into knights, but it's pretty obviously good into knights. So like, are we just what happens when it gets kicked down the line? But maybe they're
just
trying
AdMech,
to do
right?
that. Yeah.
I mean, it's just AdMech, right? Like it's the red zone. You like if they can pin you in your
Yeah.
DZ, and if you stay in your DZ, you're rolling like battle shocks, and like you're taking mortal wounds. It's like it's
Yeah.
just a little
But
bit annoying.
he clearly tech against Knight, right? He had like a lot of anti-tank in his list, like way more than before. Like before, I remember his list, he had like more flying guides,
Yeah, and more guys.
infantry.
I think the pinning you in your deployment zone is much harder for this army than other ones.
Yeah, because he has like 6 more destroyer now. He has like the 4
12
chicken last cannon.
destroyers. Yeah, it's kind of crazy.
One are richer, one are the other one. So like it's like a bit of the cook. I mean, obviously, they have been playing AdMech, I think, for the last year almost. I think Golonka did every single event I went, and he was there with AdMech. So he's kind of a OTP AdMech almost, right?
Yeah.
Nowadays. So I mean, I suppose it's still doing good. So
I'm sure it's not bad. The part where I'm like more sketch on it is what happens when it doesn't get into the matchups that it clearly wants to get into. And then is this version where you skewed to be better into the matchups at once going to be able to hold the line like regular AdMech can? And I think it's much worse at that. And I just that's where it starts to lose me. I feel like you sacrifice a lot of points in what AdMech was doing.
Yeah, but then surely because of that, like even if it doesn't necessarily play against Knights, right? It's not terrible against stuff like Death Guard because that like against those Hamlet states traditionally have a few more vehicles.
Yeah, it's not just Knights. I do think it's got a decent matchup and probably a skew that leans it into a couple things. But like this is an army which I feel like if you reject it to the scrum has a real problem of like, oh, I'm playing against lag. That's unfortunate. I guess I get I get 2 points. You know, it's like
we did experience that at Six Nations. We bring AdMech to test. And I think our AdMech player scored a 3-0 against like lag and bile twice. It was a bit painful for him. So yeah, I agree. I think it's a bit of an overcook. I think this one is clearly have some strong answer, but yeah, those two last one, like the CSM one and the AdMech, are a bit of a overcooking in Mo. He's not why, but I think it cannot go in any other category. Like it cannot go above overcooking, Imo.
It's not.
I
mean, it's definitely not MasterChef, and it's not why, right? So then that puts it into overcooked or cooked, and I don't.
It just feels dramatically like it feels at a different level than Netherlands, right? And that I think I agree with Liam. It puts it in overcooked for me.
Yeah,
but it's definitely not wine. It's definitely not MasterChef.
For sure. Bon. We're gonna eat well now. We're gonna eat well. We're going into USA.
Oh,
Let's
look,
fucking
they've got
go.
Emperor's Children. Another Oh, and Road Eaters. A couple more special snowflakes. Look.
The Chaos Army. Bon, Nassim, well, I know you have a strong opinion about it, so I'm gonna let you talk, and then I'll try to bring a more nuanced
Yeah,
answer.
I don't have a strong opinion. I just have an opinion on people not taking knights when they are clearly very good. Even when you see in people's comps, right? Like when they try to build lists that can play into knights, the knights still into those matchups can still get points, right? So it's just very good in the meta, and I think USA have just gone into the little echo chambers. Like, yeah, we've got these armies that can play knights, we'll be fine, and then they're gonna find out that's not the case. That's kind of what it feels like. It feels like they've probably overcooked a little bit by trying to do that. And a lot of the lists are like what's it called? Are good. Like Empress Children, if you want to run Empress Children, this is the way you would run it, and it's highlighted by John, so he's clearly very good. Like if there was any player in the world I'd put on World Eaters, it'd be Anthony, and he's on them. So there's definitely that credit there. However, I do think the not taking any knights is trying to be too smart in a meta where you don't actually need to overthink it too much. Like, you know what the good stuff is. Yeah.
Honestly, I agree with you. Like when you look at those 8 lists separately, all of them feel kind of good, honestly. Like, I mean, I would say that I don't really love that Death Guard Hammer list, but I guess like the Despoiler maybe brings some juice. I mean, I'm only seeing 3 Dash Shroud here, and it break my heart. And so for that Eldari list, I'm feeling a bit of a lack of oak here, but still feel like a good list. So
Yeah.
like if you look at those 8 lists, pretty much all of them kind of make sense. Like the JAC is strong. We already talked about the CSM Chaos Cult. It's a strong list. The Warband, the Berserk Warband, I'm gonna let Anthony do Anthony think. Like I have been saying World Eater is bad for a long time. We all remember that Pyra, but he always have been proving me wrong. So like I trust Anthony to score well. And like the EC, I don't hate. Like it's actually a great answer to those night killer. So like he's like hunting the night hunter. So it's not bad. Like those Eldar lists, maybe those Admech lists will like scare those
Oh yeah,
Godfrey.
it would just go through it, right? Like Empress Children is still Empress Children just fundamentally is just very good against armies like GSC, and it's very good against armies like Admech, Eldar, and it also beats the Marine list out there, whether it be Space Wolves or Blood Angels, right? So
Blood
it's like
Angel,
it's
yeah.
like so it is just very good against those armies. And maybe they think it can play nice because they've brought 2 Molothians and it wants to play the big stuff. I think personally that's wrong, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, but I think it's still gonna do great. Like, and I trust USA to have like a strong pairing team. But yeah, overall, I agree. It's not like the top of the class. It could have been better, but still, I think it's like at least cook. What do you
Yeah.
think, Brian? I mean, defend yourself a bit, maybe. Or
Yeah, I mean, so I think that like I'll maybe speak on our choice not to take knights a bit, right? I think some of it is oh, actually, how much can I defend this without giving things away?
you don't have to. You don't have to.
Yeah, well,
Go ahead.
I think it's as a general philosophy for like how Team USA likes to kind of design comps. We don't like putting ourselves into a position where it's easy to pair against us, right? And when you take knights, yes, Nick, I think you're probably right, Nas, in the sense of oh my god, Anthony's here without hair on him. He's gonna come and say hi.
Yeah.
Oh my god!
Hello.
Hello! Oh my
Hello.
god, it's so big.
I think no hair on Anthony is very disturbing. I don't like it.
He has been like Brian is supervised. We understand.
Yeah. We have managed a team.
He's like, don't say your fucking word.
and so while I think like Nas, your point of like knights are still getting points even in games where they're being countered is correct. I think I agree with that. It creates a more obvious pairing strategy, right? And I think our pairings team being so strong is one of the things we're able to leverage year in and year out. and putting ourselves into a position where people have an easier time pairing into us is always something that we prefer to try to avoid if we can. And I think that kind of is some of what this comp is pairing out to be. Obviously we feel like we can deal with knights. We recognize how good they were. We played into it a lot. And so we'll just see if we end up being great, I guess. But that's generally, I think, why we ended up where we did.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I still think it's a good comp. I mean, if it helps, this might be a spoiler, but I think it's better than France's personally. But it's like for me, it's in between. I think you've overcooked it and between cook. It's like that in that weird spot in between. For me as like the comp, and because it's still 7 good lists, you know. So it's tough.
I think it's emo. It's worse than like if you only look at the team comp wise, you make abstraction of like the around like the level of the team, etc. If you only look at the list, like if you wouldn't know it was USA, I would put that list in probably that team in Overcook.
Yeah.
Knowing it's USA, I think it probably goes into Cook. But yeah. Because you know the player behind and you know that they will make it work, and you also know that they have like the strength to make it work. So it's probably cooked. Is it better on like if I go to, I would say it's probably better than like I would say it's better than like Sweden. I prefer it as like for example than Sweden roster. So I would put it like probably around here, either like mid or top of Cook. What do you think, Brian? Do you think it's fair?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're doing some things that we are confident but are risky to the assumption of the meta. So I think
Like-
that's somewhere around there is a perfectly reasonable. I mean, frankly, higher than I expected you guys to put us. So I'll take it.
I think it's like but bottom of like middle of the package in cooked seem fair. Okay. And then we'll finish with the reigning
champions.
champion.
The baguette.
The baguette. Oui. It's there you go. Cool.
So I mean, I know a bit the what do you think, Nats and Brian, of that comment?
Oh,
I mean,
immediately overcooked / why for me personally, but like I because it's France, I will say in the same way we said USA goes into cook, I think they can go into overcooked as like the best. I'm sorry, but no.
Yeah, I mean, so so we got a couple clear choices here, right? I mean, the Space Wolf list being Glyce or the Stormlands, I think is a little bit worse, but also not like so much so that it's weird. It's Olivier, it's going to deliver. The Eldari list, strong. Necron list feels fine. We have a guy in our academy, Walter, who's the best, by the way. If you ever get a chance to talk to him,
Dude,
Walter, you should.
the dwarf.
But this is a list which is exactly the kind of list that Walter would play, and so we know how powerful it is. We know it's a good list. The Death Guard list doesn't have any Plague Burst crawlers, but it's Verlis Victorum. I prefer the PPC versions. It feels weaker to me. And then we start getting in, the Votan is, I think, traditional Votan, right? There's nothing too crazy there.
He play a 6-man anti-vehicle guys with the enhancement to ignore mod.
Which doesn't seem like a bad choice at all.
No,
and then we get into the choices I think are questionable, right? So I've already kind of expressed before, I don't think Bile is the right choice in this meta. That feels like a bold choice, which we'll see how it pans out. Alex is a great player, but I don't know. That one seems strange to me. And then we have the thickness, but just like it's like you take the thickness of knights and you just took a pancake roller and just rolled it out into a really flat layer of Imperial Guardsmen. So Nas, do you want to maybe talk about this recon list? Like, what is it trying to do, and do you think it does it, or do you think
so I feel like this recon list is there's been a recon list that's been doing really well in the States with Wesley St. Hines running it, Nemo, as a lot of people know. And Ed's taking it over here from inspiration from Nemo. So I think it's clearly recon is clearly a good army because however, I do think with what it's trying to do, which is be very powerful with shooting armies and like move block melee armies to keep games close. I think against the shooting armies in the meta right now, it's going to struggle. Like I'm looking at this list here right now, and I'm thinking about it. It's got 2 Dawns that don't have lethals, and risk if you kill the tank commander, the other Dawn hits on 4s with no rerolls. So the list itself, I think, is going to do really well against like the CSM list that we saw before for Poland, because it can't chew through that much, like that many things. Like if you shoot AP1 at the guardsman, they still get a free up save unless you ignore cover. But I think the moment you start comboing ignore cover, extra AP, so Thousand Sun, CK, Death Guard, those types of armies, I think you're going to start to see it fall apart very, very quickly. Because its output is just some guardsmen with some plasmas in the Cajuns that can fall back and shoot with sustained, and then 2 Dawns. And that's like all it has. It does have like counter punch, like it's hoping to move block you. As I think it's going to struggle with these very strong, dedicated anti-infantry armies that can chew through the Cajun bricks fast enough, or armies that fly. Like this will get trounced by Blood Angels, and it's going to struggle against Thousand Suns, Death Guard, like even Emperor's Children for USA. Like it can stat check it. It's essentially a very good stat check. But at the moment you can stat check it, it does fall apart very, very, very quickly. Like I've tested Recon, like I've played it with Liam. Like if you don't respect it, it can definitely find a way to scam points out of you. But it does die. It's still toughness 3 guardsman.
Yeah, I think the other list we have here, which is pretty out there, is this World Eater list with the 80 Berserkers.
Great.
And I mean, it's another one that we've got Anthony, right? Every variation of every World Eaters list, I promise you, we've looked at least for 2 games, some of which were forcibly pulled out of Anthony by gunpoint. But he's looked at a number of like all these stuff, including the Berserker build. It's not bad. I mean, it's a bloodthirsting army that has a lot of bodies, that runs at you, has pile console 6. It's something which requires you to have the right answers to, and if you don't, it will just win games, right? Matt Bonet is a great player, obviously, so I'm sure he'll be able to execute well. But it does also feel like they were making a very clear call on what they thought the meta was going to be, and that the meta would not be able to answer loads of infantry, even loads of infantry with power armor, right? And as you just kind of said with the Astra, there's a decent number of things that do answer that, right, in the meta right now, especially when you're looking at things like the IK, like the even CK as a blaster.
No, I think it'll do well with the IK, because I don't think the IK actually has the.
Sorry, I said IK. I meant CK is what I meant to say.
But I think the CK will just like, like you shoot the battle cannon tank and you split one arm here, like here's 12 dead, here's 8 dead here, or you just shoot it into a 20 man, and you pick up like almost the entire unit. It's like, and that's too much attrition.
I feel like this could be. I really wish this had some Forge Fiends, right? And you probably your own 60 Berserkers if you did that, but having no shooting with this kind of a skew feels really like
it's weird, right? Because they did the opposite thing in the IK. They're like, let's take loads of infantry and take some shooting behind it. And over here, they're like, let's take some loads of infantry and no shooting behind it. So it feels like if you wanted to do that, you could have either screwed the Astra to do that as well by taking out the shooting, or you could have just added, like you drop down to 60 Zerks, which is still fine, by the way, and then you've got like 4 Fiends behind it.
Yeah, I do feel like the 80 Zerks is an important breakpoint, probably for a lot of armies' ability to deal with it. But I also think that this is a very move blockable army. Yeah, and because of that, I don't love it. I mean, it's probably good in Eldar. Let's see that.
It also doesn't fall back and do anything, is the other thing. And if it does Blood Surge into you, it doesn't get all of the extra stuff either with that doesn't warband.
Yeah, I mean, and Berserkers do a lot of damage, but they have a limit, right? When they're charging, even when they're charging, they're going to have a limit. It's really just like what this army is really good at, and is just creating this like incredibly chaotic board state, right? It's like AC, DC, and power armor. But only one of those units can advance and charge in a given turn. And it just it feels like I don't know. I would rather be ACDC here, but maybe they had locked in the bio line and then they were trying to get a similar effect. And I can see World Eaters with AD Zerkers doing something like that.
Yeah, for me with their comp, it's a bit confusing because of that. It just feels like they had ways of, like you said it yourself, to take CSM with ACDC, and then you can combat that with the Zerks against some gunline armies and just be very awkward, be very annoying, or and vice versa within their comp. But it's like kind of a little bit all over the place. Like the Space Wolf Gladius list is mostly shooting and then 2 melee bricks. The Death Guard is not hammer. The Astra with the CSM and the World Eaters are all a stat check, but they're not, like, I guess like they're not a similar stat check in the fact of like you've got, I don't know, you've got like the 3 wounds everywhere with bio, and you've got 1 wound and then 2 wound. It's like you've got the different stat checks where it feels like a lot like there's more flexibility in your opponent's comp to be able to deal with one stat check compared to the other. Whereas if they were all 1 wound or all 2 wound, or if there was a blend of the 2 at the very least, you would create those awkward scenarios and pairings. But it just doesn't feel like that's the case. It just feels like they've given their opponents the ability to make it easier for people to pair against them, if that makes sense. And there's no knights, so what are we doing? We've been talking about this.
I'll defend them a bit still because, like, I mean, to be fair, like, their com is weird, but I think all of their players went into stuff that are kind of their play style a bit, right? Like you mentioned about like Tanker, he was playing ACDC last year, now he's playing Berserker, still a bit that. Like Sako obviously have been playing CSM a lot, so like Nico have been all-time guard player, so and like Aretas an all-time Eldari player, and Ashord obviously an all-time Necron player, so we still like probably still need to respect them quite a lot, right? Because they still have like the strong player behind, and they probably know what they are doing, right?
Yeah, they've got like the faction, or they've got a faction / playstyle specialist on the faction playstyles that they play, which is why I think it brings them from wide to overcooked.
Yeah, what this is for me is one of the comps which feels like all the other comps generally felt like they knew they had a good picture of what the meta was going to look like, and then they tried to answer that, right? Maybe we don't believe in their answers, right? But we can kind of see what they're trying to do. But with France, and again, maybe I'm totally wrong here, but it does feel like they maybe were a little to the side of what the meta ended up actually being. And that's why I'm like not as big of a fan of it. I think they maybe anticipated like some of their answers being more resilient into what other people were trying to do, and it just doesn't feel like that's going to be the case. So be curious to see how it pans out.
Okay. So let's go to the tier list. So you think it should go somewhere over here? If it wasn't France, you would have put there.
Yes, immediately. Yeah. This is me giving them credit. I think they've overcooked it personally. But I do think they've got the right players on the right playstyle / factions because they're more specialists. And I think because of that, and also they won it last year, you've got to give them a bit of credit. So they go to overcooked. But they haven't cooked it.
I think they're lower than Poland for me.
Yeah,
they're overcooked, but lower than Poland.
Okay. So we end up here.
That's
the final.
This is where Poland wins it and France comes second, and we're just like,
and Australia third, right? Following by Spain.
And then Spain.
I mean, it's the time to take the screenshot, everyone, and to make fun of us in a month when we will be obviously wrong. But yeah, I mean,
we have England. England is number 2 there, right? So clearly that ain't happening. So
whoa,
let's move on.
Whoa! It's like fucking up pairings. It's like this feels right, but something must be wrong.
Something is wrong here.
This feels too good to be true. What's going on?
I mean, yeah.
Where are they giving us a 20? I don't understand.
Yeah, we already mentioned it, Sako.
He's just jealous that he can't. That his team's in overcooked.
This does feel like pretty interesting, right? There's a couple narratives here. I'm excited to see how they pan out. Both from a macro perspective, like, how well are knights and their answers, and how are in people's individual armies. Like, I personally am pretty invested to see how Joel does. I hope he just like smashes it and proves me totally wrong. And then
who does
Joel with his demon
Oh,
king, that should be pretty cool. So I think it'll be cool. This is a pretty exciting WTC.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun. So I suppose we are done with that.
Yeah,
Well, I think we are supposed to do some plug, but Ines actually didn't told me what to say, so I think we are just gonna go check. Yeah, we're gonna go check stat check and basically go watch the show from Tuesday. Sorry, Ines is doing the plug there. I don't know what to say. Thanks to all the sponsor, I guess, and whatever.
Thanks to the guys who pay us the monies that theoretically one day.
But yeah, we're gonna directly go to the show question, and then we're gonna finish up. I think.
I'll be honest, for as scuffed as I expected us to get.
This is pretty good. I know,
that was
right?
Pretty good. That's a good baseline. It's just up from here, boys.
I mean, just ignore the start because it's hard to go lower. But
that was pretty rough.
That was great. Just take cool comments. I was like, wait a second, I know dispute.
Okay. So let's jump to show question. I'm gonna try to make the technology work.
Yeah, and also, guys, feel free to drop questions in here as well in the chat. If you have any questions, any questions come to mind, we'll do our best to get through them. Yeah.
So, first, that's for Brian. Pumba is asking.
So, Pumba, I am waiting until I've lost the weight. Okay,
wait a second.
Yeah.
Hello, attends. Hello.
Oh, hello.
How are you doing, boys?
Sexy little boy. How you doing?
We managed. I think we managed. Outside of the start, that was a bit chaotic. We did our best.
We used the take all comers intro.
Yeah, I did it once. Don't worry, boys. I see England MasterChef. I see I missed nothing, I guess.
Yeah.
How are you doing? Typhus? Welcome.
Where is Pumba? He was supposed to join as well.
I mean, he's maybe in actually, and I was not seeing it because there is too much. Hello.
Oh my god! Oh,
Pumba.
They exist.
I don't
want to catch any shade. I didn't put us there. They put us. They put us there.
I'm gonna shame somebody, okay? Because Jesus Christ, are you kidding me right now?
Dude, you don't play Warhammer anymore. Your opinion is valid.
One day, Pumba will remember what a dice is.
Jesus Christ! You leave a podcast for just a quick time, quick.
You don't do a podcast for 1 or 2 years, and suddenly
and suddenly a random bunch of bastards just making.
By the way, Pumba, one thing didn't change. You are on the wrong mic.
No, I know. I don't want to say anything.
Every time, bro.
It's great.
Well,
Pumba, why does your blur look like you're running really fast compared to other blurs? It's like everything's just pulled slightly to the side.
I am always running just too fast, Brian. Brian, I just came here to ask about the tattoo. Let's be honest.
Look, I said that I was waiting until I've lost the weight, and I'm continuing to lose weight. So as long as that continues, I think that I'm entitled to the reprieve to avoid the reason.
I think we need to up the wager. If you don't get it until WTC, I can decide the spot.
Oh,
no. Before this WTC? No.
It's still a month.
It's not now because I wanna keep losing a little more weight. All right.
Okay. Sure.
Actually, my tattooist that did this sleeve is in London.
Yeah.
There you go.
I will get it. I will for sure get it
before
the next WTC. And then if I don't get it by then, you can choose where it goes. God damn it! I can't believe I said that on air. But we're locked.
And that's on record. Thank you, everybody.
I'll lock that in because if I haven't lost enough weight by then you know something else has gone wrong.
Hey,
So,
but-
Now you can just disconnect Pumbaa like immediately. Like you've done what you.
That's all I want.
and he
from
fades
this
into darkness.
Conversation, I'm gonna be honest.
You shut up, Jesper. You don't have ideas at all.
Forehead tattoo, maybe. Hmm?
Okay, so where were you? Have you gone through the questions?
We just
No,
started.
No,
we
literally
just started.
did
yeah, we're
Pumbaa's
doing a
question.
typical Enter the Matrix where we take 2.5 hours. If it just
A
happens.
slow meandering path where nothing really gets said, but everyone gets made
mean-
fun of.
To be fair, we did the main part of the show in less than 2 hours. I'm already proud of us, guys. I'm already proud.
True.
Good job. Good job.
So
What was the second
But
question? It says,
let's continue.
are you happy with how 20-0 WC style scoring works right now, or would you like to see any changes? I think it's fine right now, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's always better. They could make 20-0 harder, like make it 6-point differential. That's my take. But because I like to make, because it's sad when you score like 70-point differential and you don't get rewards for it. That's my honest opinion. But
It's just a
What?
Liam
Dude,
problems.
That's the most Liam
20s
take on it I've ever heard. bro.
20s are so rare in reality in comparison. Use what you would hope.
I fully agree. Certainly at this level, right? I think
No,
that
I'm trolling,
20s,
I'm trolling.
20s actually happening are pretty rare. I am actually pretty okay with where I didn't
Yeah.
expect it to be that case with not secret missions. What the fuck are they called?
yeah,
Challenge.
Oh,
Yeah,
challenger
yeah,
cards.
I would love to see
Um,
challenger cards changed. That's
I mean, it's okay.
yeah,
It's actually
I-
okay. I think.
sixes. No,
But
it's
I think that the way challenger cards should work is that you and your opponent have to both agree on who's losing the game at the moment before the battle royale starts, and that person is the challenger.
I think I'm losing, dude. I don't
Yeah,
know.
exactly. You're gonna have the challenger phase where you debate it.
I don't know. You're up by 20. I still think I'm losing.
Yeah.
mean-
But yeah, I actually expected challenger cards to impact differential more than I feel like it did. So I do think they impact differential, but I don't think it's been as
No.
brutal as I expected it to be.
Yeah, I think the only downside is you shouldn't be able to draw a challenge card before turn 3. I think realistically,
Yeah.
because like after turn 3, so you should only be able to score it draw it like turn 4 and 5, or maybe turn 3. But like, yeah, sometimes drawing like a challenger turn 2 because your opponent did 6
God.
points secondary and you did 0 can be a bit funky. But
That-
outside of
Okay, I'm sorry.
but outside of that, it's pretty okay.
But regarding the main question, I would like to add one thing. I think it's quite cool that the 20s are so rare because it opens up a completely different style of pairing where you try to hunt for those high wins and base your whole round on Brian 20-0ing money. And I love that. Like, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I mean, 20-0 should be the rarest thing, right? Like, but
yeah, I mean,
it's
I
quite-
think right now it plays out where there's a significant skill difference. 20s still happen, but once you get to the point where people are playing the game properly, like matchups played correctly,
yeah,
even the
shouldn't be
matchups that are like very, very good, I'm like, I don't know, 15, 16. You know what I mean? It's like it's very difficult to get 20'd, I think, without making a lot of mistakes.
Well, if people just don't understand the matchup, and I think that's where the other 20 can come from. Like, it even
Yeah.
comes from.
But that comes from
Yeah.
mistakes. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bon, next one is how far apart are the Marine build, especially post Iron Priest nerf? How late did your team decide you wouldn't be playing Ultramarine? So just one thing first before mentioning, we are not playing with the
Iron Priest nerf.
Empress nerf, so we're still playing with the nice 8 last cannon shots annihilator,
Why not?
but it's quite cool to see
Yeah,
it
one
once.
annihilator just doubles itself for a turn. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I think the Marine builds they're different enough where we're gonna notice. I mean, even within the Space Wolves, even if we just talk about the Space Wolf builds, there's quite a few differences, right? I mean, I think is USA the only ones playing 6-man units of Thunderwolf, for example? Like
No, I think Germany.
Germany have them.
Germany has it too? Okay, yeah, but even you compare that to maybe like Olivier's, or we had the Beast Slayer list, stuff like that. They're very they're still Marines and they're still doing similar kinds of stuff and they're resilient in the same kinds of ways, but I would say their matrices, I would expect them to look like different in significant ways. Maybe not like, greens become reds, but where their greens are and where their oranges are, I think are going to be quite a bit different.
I agree. I mean, I still like running. It's still cool to see some Blood Angel. I'm probably one of the few that like Blood Angel over here, but I still like Blood Angel. Me.
I have
So
a
I'm excited
question,
to see.
follow-up question to this. In general, are you not surprised to see low amounts of Ultramarines, especially Stormlands? I am quite surprised by that. I think in general that army is still very, 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 very strong. I'm very curious that people still positioned into Space Wolves instead. I think they are great. I'm not sure if they are so much better.
Yeah, I think that Space Wolves are better in a team sense if you feel like you have things that can play in the scrum in general, because Space Wolves are better at answering specific things. Like they're good in like really interesting ways that really help with team composition and pairings. While like maybe in a single sense, I would be more confident taking probably Ultramarines to an event than say Space Wolves, right? They're more of a they're more capable of playing take all comers than say Space Wolves are. So I'm like less surprised that we didn't see as many Ultramarines because of the fact that Space Wolves are so powerful in a matrixing perspective. But I mean, I'm surprised to see no Ultramarines. Probably that's pretty surprising. I think that like the Blood Angels are more of a surprise for me, and if they would have been Ultramarines, like Stormlands kind of stuff, I'd be more like they wouldn't have contributed as much to the cooking for me that we were doing with the tier list,
Legit.
Yeah. Let's follow up. What is the next question? Where is he? So, what is the biggest challenge each of your team are facing in heading into the year WTC campaign? I mean, so that's a difficult question.
Yeah. Biggest challenge basically facing. I think a lot of it has been, at least for us right now, especially going to this WTC, is that for 6 of our players, it's their first ever WTC, right? They've haven't played before, so it's a completely new atmosphere. There's not as many veterans as with USA and their model. Basically you take 5 veterans and 3 new people. If you look at Poland, they've got a lot of veterans in there that even though they might not have played in the last couple of years, but they've played before that. So there's like a bit of WTC heritage there, but like with us, at least for England, because it's essentially a brand new team. It's managing that and just making sure everybody's ready. With lists, factions, and like mentality going into it. It's probably been one to manage just throughout, and especially now it's still with the lead up. It's been good.
And you, Brian?
I mean, finding a way to contain this much power into just an 8-man roster, it's really tough. I don't know if you know this, but we have the Folger Piles on our team, the world champion of Warhammer.
Okay.
And then we have
one of the long-haired dudes that they replaced Naden with.
We have another person who is like
They just took out Naden and put like older Nadens in. I don't know what the fuck is going on.
We have somebody who has managed to lock second place at WCW for 3 years in a row. In the form of John Lennon, that's another powerful tool.
Oh, how many podiums at WTC he has?
Well, soon to be one. And I think honestly, one of the biggest challenges we have faced is probably we have a lot of really good players, and those players play a bunch of different factions. And I think that when you start going into a team comp and the preparing process and you're like, hey, anybody can kind of play lots of different things, it feels really good. But then as moments things start really solidifying because we're all kind of focusing on 2 or 3 armies because you don't want to have too wide of a spread. You start to run in this space where you start to have a limited number of options without having to do significant pivots sooner than you might expect. So I think just kind of, as seems to always be the case, figuring out that year-long cadence of what armies are being played and how you're exploring them, how you're locking in, when coupled with the rapid changes that always end up happening right before WTC, because why would it be stable before the most important event of the year, is something which we continue to struggle with, and I think we're going to every year, but we haven't quite figured exactly out how to do that.
For Belgium, I mean, it was the first year I had like to do a true selection. Like I had finally more than 8 people wanted to go to do VTC, so that was probably the harder challenge for me. Like I had to choose between like 12 people, so it was a bit. It also had like add some juice to the selection. It was also fun, but you know, it's not easy to say to some people, yeah, no, you're not going to come to the BTC, and you have to justify. And it was like the first year we had to do that in Belgium, so it was a bit weird in that sense, but still went super cool, and I'm happy with the final team, so still cool. But yeah, that was a new thing for me, I would say. But yeah, bon, let's continue. So Nick J is asking if you could pick 3 armies to always have a faction specialist for, which would be those 3?
Space Marines, Eldar, insert some form of CSM is probably for me what it'd be. Just, I mean, like Space Marines and Eldar.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Those 2 100%. And like the third one, I mean, I've seen CSM like just in all variants, right? Like even right now, some teams have him, some teams don't have him. Just,
I mean,
be good.
To be fair, until really recently, CSM player was generally playing most of the CSM army, right? You know, Death Guard, Tyson, and like even like Chaos has a history of like souping together every faction. So, like generally speaking, I feel like Chaos player have like a bit more the ability to jump from like a Marine player would jump to Space Wolf to Blood Angel.
Yeah.
CSM player can really quickly jump to EC to Bile to even
exactly. Exactly. Right. There's a lot more flexibility in that, I think, and those would be the main ones for me.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
I think for me, I think Eldar is a pretty good answer there. I think some kind of a melee pressure build, being a specialist, is really, really helpful, whether that's Orcs or World Eaters or something like that. But like those armies played at like the level that specialists play them at are extremely difficult to matrix against and like defend against in terms of like getting reps. And that's a really nice asset to have. Plus, they oftentimes can be paired in ways which, if you get them into good matchups, can get big wins. So they're good pushers. And then I think T-Suns should be on there too, right? If you have a specialist on T-Suns, it can be really good. Somebody, you know, like Alex for you guys and us, like it really helps an army, which, you know, while I do think it's easier to play than it has been in the past, is still not an easy army to play by any stretch. And having somebody who's really good at that, I think is really useful.
I think in terms of T-Suns, you are looking through the lens of the last iterations of them, though. Right? It's a faction that can really be bad at times. So like, it's very dependent on how good they are in the current meta.
I have a different perspective because I think you guys are thinking about factions that are very popular in general, like factions that were consistently being taken into teams. And my take on faction specialists is I value more those factions that are on the outskirts of the meta. And I value faction specialists on those factions way more, like say Eric in 22, right? Those armies that you have something that only you have are more valuable for a team comp, especially nowadays that we are so prep heavy, rather than having someone who can choose whether they play Space Wolves or Storm Raven. Like, who gives a shit? You'll find someone who can fly a plane. The question is whether you actually have that GSC player, or whether you have in a meta that suddenly Sisters are maybe one of the good factions, or like on the verge. I would value those factions more.
I think if you want to have the best player in the world on GSC and the best player in the world on Space Marines, you just choose the GSC player, no
Yes,
actually.
that's what I mean. That's what I mean
Yeah.
with faction specialism.
Fair enough. That's actually, I like that answer. I do like that.
There's so many other players. There's so many
If there's not many
Marine
good
players.
That's
Yeah,
true.
you're talking through England perspective, okay? Like,
So, Mark is asking, what are your thoughts on
Yeah.
the variation on the grenade list? Most have teleport strike force, and one is what the fuck with no NDK.
Did any seed ones have Grey Knights?
What do you think the purpose of those GK lists is? I mean,
Do any tier 1s have GK?
No.
No.
Okay.
No,
No, they
not
do not have
the
Dread Knights. No tier 1s Dread Knights. I don't know.
I think those
Dread
are
Knights good
faction
right now.
specialists in
Yeah.
lower tier teams that
Yeah.
will do okay if they are very good at a faction and they cooked up a build that worked for them best, and they might score quite well because people might not be versed against a faction that is underplayed right now.
yeah, I think the only reason to bring Grenade right now is to have someone that is really ready to play with them. And at the end of the day, it's still like a uppy downy army, so it still have like possibility, right? But yeah, it's not the top of the meta in any case. But I think it's the meta have been relatively stable for the last year, pretty much. So like bringing someone that play Grenade during the whole year and is ready to face challenge is probably a better idea than bringing that guy on a new army that he never played.
I think we kind of answered the next question there too, about the purpose of those Grey Knights lists.
Yeah. What do you think of Wolf versus Blood Angel for single?
Oh, wrong podcast for that one.
I think it's a bit of a wrong process. And I think the second part of the question is actually more interesting. Do you, Brian, agree with Lucas that there is no hope for Orc in teams?
I think that orcs are really well positioned right now in teams.
Oh,
If it wasn't for the fact that I was stuck in wizard
Wizard.
jail of my own making, I would have been taking orcs to this.
surely it's not a strong wizard jail, right?
So for those who don't know, when I joined Team USA, I foolishly said, "Boy, what armies are not really well represented? I should really play those so that I can have better chance of making the starting roster." So I took up, Plucky Brian took up T-Sons as an army. And ever since then, I have been stuck in the dungeon making potions, trying to escape Snape's furious gaze. So tragically, I haven't been able to play orcs this year, but I do think orcs are actually. I mean, look, they could definitely use some help, I think, right now. But it's not so much that orcs have become bad as much as things around them have gotten better. But some of the things that have gotten better around them in the meta are things which orcs were really good into. And so I actually think they're pretty well positioned right now to be an army which can fight, most of the meta in the kind of scrummy later game stages of the game.
So you're a coward.
I'm a man who wishes he was green.
But yeah, he is blue.
actually black and
So-
white, but
Hey, I mean-
that's Campbell. Well,
Next question is, do you think the three of you could make a Custodes list that has a matrix spread in this meta with more positive than negative, or it is impossible?
Cooked.
Ah,
Ah la la.
So cooked. So cooked,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
I don't actually know a lot about Custodes. Like,
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't
Like-
know.
I mean,
if
the-
you know the guy I was talking about, Folger Piles, but he's pretty good at Custodes.
Mhm.
And he is currently playing Chaos Cults.
Yeah.
So I don't think they're in a great spot right now.
I can say that we took Custodes to Pira, and yeah, the matrix was not good. It was.
I mean, I played against it round one. It was.
Hey.
that was-
Unfortunately, the Custodes are cooked, in my opinion, as well.
Yeah,
It's not their meta.
it's not the meta, but a little help and next meta, they probably will be back. because
Yeah.
Custodes always rise super quickly.
They always find them. Like the meta shifts around them, and then like Custodes are this even line. It's just like, are they above water or below? Right now they're below. It'll shift again.
So, Eric is asking, how do you feel about the US Death Guard Knight inclusion? If you had to pick between one Death Shroud and 3 PBC, or 2 of each, what would you pick? Well, I
You
think
have
it's for me and...
It's always
I mean,
you have to max at the PBC, at least for me personally.
I think for me, you need to max both, because they are actually both mandatory, but...
Yes, I mean that's the thing. But then when you put 300 points in for a night, that's eats into the Death Shard points. So it makes it a bit harder.
Yeah.
Pumba, you can tell that those are C2 teams talking now. They
Yeah,
truly
legitimately.
don't understand what the spoiler fucking does.
I'm gonna be honest. I got so hard when I saw that list. I love it so much. It's gonna tear through so many singles events in next weeks. It's so fucking obnoxious. I love it so much.
Yeah, dude.
I think it's legitimately the coolest list. Like it's fucking Death Guard Mortarian's Hammer, so it's like only as cool as it can be. But the inclusion of the spoiler makes this army so unbearably good. It's hard to not notice. At least it's gonna be so difficult to tackle, I think. And in terms of, I always take 3 PBCs. People not taking 3 PBCs are trolling. That's my honest opinion.
See, France.
Poland.
I mean, yeah,
Like
Germany.
you
don't have 2. That's right. Yeah. It's okay.
It's okay. Next one is, can you give us your thought about Challenger card? I think we already did it, right? So
6 is
maybe-
not enough. Needs to be more. There we go.
Yeah, I actually, so like, I guess the one last thought on the challenger cards is I generally feel like the points aren't that big a deal. They're kind of like annoying and a little feel baddy, but it usually changes it by diff. Some of the stratagems are bananas town busted when they come up at the right time. They just come up rarely enough where it's okay. But I think if you tone down those, the mechanic's probably okay. You probably want to make it a couple more points, maybe make it 7 or 8 or something. I don't know. And then it's probably okay. But
I mean, 6 is just a little bit too easy to achieve, and just like you said, right? Like when you do the right card in the right circumstance, like I've had it 3 times now where I've tagged my opponent in combat, and then like, oh, I draw a challenger card. Oh, my Rubik's squad can now fall back and shoot, and I'm just like, for fuck's sakes.
dude,
And
have you ever
that's
experienced a Magnus which is reliable in close combat? Because I've had real ones to hit and wound. That was incredible. There's no greater feeling. Like, wait, I can actually use him to kill this thing. That does not supposed to happen.
That's cool. The next one is Isaac is asking, any advice for first-time WTC player / international traveler? And how much Naz did pay us to put Earthbound in Master Chef? Brainshred me to the team next year. I'll take this son off of your hand. No biggie. It's Isaac that is asking that.
Yeah, that's Isaac.
Isaac, yeah. Bon. So, any advice for a first WTC attendant?
Enjoy the ride. Don't put too much stress on yourself. You know, it's your first time.
Yeah.
Just like you're gonna soak it in. You're gonna get a feel for what the level's at. And it's a lot of fun. And I think if you don't expect, not that you shouldn't expect to do well. I'm not trying to like say that, but I do think it's important to allow yourself the opportunity to enjoy it.
And I think what's important if you're for the first time is also if you're going to War Masters, I think it's very important if it's your first time to go to War Masters to actually get the vibe of the event and get to know people, because then you'll not be as stressed when the main event comes.
Yeah, indeed. And like, don't hesitate to sleep, because it's fucking tiring. And I made the mistake in the past to choose to not sleep a lot, and it is a mistake.
Sleepy.
Sure is. Try to balance the amount of time you spend with mingling with other teams and with your friends with the time you're spending with your own team, to also like don't just completely abandon your own team, because I've seen that happen, especially with Mercs players, and I know you're one, Isaac. Like, try to balance those 2 things out.
And the last question for you is for Brian. is know that Brian has filled me with opium for playing Orc. What would be the kind of list you would play in Orc? I guess it's for you, Brian.
Yeah, I mean, I stopped cooking on orcs when I got firmly locked into my prison. But when I was there, I was on something along the lines of like double battle wagon MSU inside the battle wagons, which was quite sweet at the time. At that point we didn't know of the Night Menace, so I'd have to kind of re-examine there. But like I would shift into like Breaker Boys are great. I don't want to be on Tank Bustas, although there's way more three wound bodies than I expected there to be in this meta, so yeah, that would have actually been good. But I think generally I just like the current core of orcs, which is Beast Snagas, Breaker Boys, and Knobs. Just jam damage there. Don't try and do things which are too unique or cool. You don't have to. You're generally pretty good. You're a great combat army, and then you just look at how do you deliver it and what's the best resource to do that. And it might be that it's trucks because they have smaller profiles. It might be as battle wagons because they're tough. And you just kind of go from there.
And that's it for today, guys. That was the last question. Only 2 hours 20. It's not too bad. Not too bad.
Average for Entrer to Matrix. I'm glad you're continuing our demise of never finishing on time.
It's a legacy, dude.
But
in general, glad to have you in, boys. I'm officially passing the baton into the night I go. It's awesome to have you all in the show and in StatCheck officially. So I'm super glad you're taking over the show. I will have one more podcast to listen to when I'm working, which is baller.
Exactly. Great thing.
Let's go.
Yeah, obviously we want to thank you guys. You've really laid a great groundwork here, and we're happy to carry it on. And hopefully you guys can come on whenever you decide.
I hope you will keep technical difficulties as like one of the main.
Come on, dude. I mean, Nas is our leader, dude. Nas is in charge of us.
Wait,
of course, is gonna happen.
Oh, I didn't know that. Sweet.
Yeah, you said you wanted to be the leader on StatCheck last time. So
yeah, you are the leader on that.
Yeah, captain of the scene. So Captain,
right there. It's meant to be.
Right. So make sure to message us if you need us to shit talk, especially some WTC teams. We can always do that. We're on call, Yeah,
can we do that about later?
What we can also say now is that a WTC will be there in a very special role, us too. Because me and Pumba will be joining Joe's stream. We'll be on Wargames Live as the field reporters and giving information about which matchups, how they went, and maybe giving updates as it goes. So we'll still be there. So
we're also in the English rooms last time I checked. Isn't that right?
That might be or might not be the case. I still am actually looking for a place to sleep at WTC.
There you go. Well,
I think, as we said, one of the formats we're trying to do is continuing with the one before, one after for events coming up. And I think you guys are also going to ETC, right? And I know that Liam and I are going with Ignite, so that should be pretty fun. Maybe get you guys back for that one.
I unfortunately can't when I'm
really but me and Nas are on one team, and Brian and Liam are on another.
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I'm very envious of that.
The remix to Ignition.
It's gonna be cool.
Exactly.
Boom, but then if everything have been said, let's end up here, guys, and thanks for watching, and let's see you next time. Bye.
Arrivederci.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. I click on the button. Is it doing something?
No, it's still going. I can see it.
Diddle-doo.